told you I wasn't stepping to. I ain't disrespecting you, son. You wanted to be that way. What? You wanted to be that way. But it's the other way.
Yeah. Funny how everybody loved debate till the judges say they lost. Funny how everybody claim they want smoke till the scorecards come across.
My name is my name.
Everybody gangster when the verdict go their way. Taking victory laps, posting on social media all day. But let them catch an L, now the judges all corrupt. Now the rules wasn't fair, now the platform messed up. When you won, it was justice. When you lost, it was rigged. When the spotlight was on you, man, you danced a little jig.
Funny how the narrative changes overnight. You a scholar on Monday, by Tuesday ready to fight.
Y'all don't want accountability, you want applause. Want championship treatment without championship flaws. See, debate ain't about feelings, it's about evidence, argument, and skill. Sometimes you climb the mountain,
sometimes you fall down the hill. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
But it's the other way.
When you win, it's all love.
When you lose, it's another day. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The same judges you praised last month ain't fair today. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The facts don't bend for feelings, no matter what you say. My name,
yeah.
My name.
The hate got me laughing, it really tell the story. If the platform wasn't working, why they obsessed with my glory? Every week somebody got an opinion to proclaim, but they still tune in faithfully, that's free promotion of the name. Paradigm shift, TV 314 still standing, while critics in the comments keep demanding and demanding. See the infamous perspective, giving viewpoints room to breathe. The black church files digging deeper than was seen. The Kemet takeover, bringing culture to the floor. The GT perspective, asking questions they ignore. Here you get many choices, ladies night giving divas voices. Different minds, different paths, different truth. Reaching the elders and the youth. But it's the other way.
You said the platform needed you, but somehow you still stay.
Yeah.
You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The show keeps moving forward even after people stray. You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The audience decides, not the stories that you made. My name is my name.
I've seen debaters come and go, some legends, some pretenders. Some became champions, some became contenders. Some accepted losses and came back even stronger. Others spent 6 months complaining and being bitter even longer. Everybody wanna run a platform, everybody got advice, but very few know the sacrifice, are willing to pay the price. Fight facts, challenge views, give the people real discussion, not excuses when you lose. So whether they applaud or whether they complain, one thing remains forever.
My name is my
The queen throwing your ass out. Sonetta been done, but you still begging them for a plate. You mentioned Jabari with every sentence, bro, just ask him on a date.
Every relationship you had somehow end up in flames.
Then you scream, don't play with my name, but your best ass folk.
My name is my name.
Your name is a joke.
You say don't play with my name, but your name is a punchline.
Every bridge you ever built
got burned in record time.
You emotional, delusional,
disrespectful on the stage.
Everybody been tired
of your never-ending tirade.
Got caught up with a clear girl.
Well, she had the best cat.
Lost her house.
Still claiming you the landlord.
I I got a loyal roster with me while you all alone. My bad.
You can call indigenous on the phone.
Stupid.
My name is
For helping our brother Gideon get his technical difficulties together, man. Y'all better start having sympathy for the devil. That being said, man, the brother is actually a brother, because he could have just said, I'm gonna do my presentation and get that belt, but we helped the brother get his thing along, and we actually gonna get this debate going, because Gideon was like, I'm getting this. He ain't getting away with just doing no presentation. I want his head. Both of these brothers are some warriors on the intellectual tip, and we're about to give y'all an edutaining contest. Now, y'all already know, before we get into our spiel, I got to do my spiel, so allow me to say God bless to all my Christian brothers and sisters, Hotep, to all my Kemetic brothers and sisters, Shalom, to all my Israelite brothers and sisters. I want to say Assalamu Alaikum to all my brothers and sisters in the Islamic movement. I want to say Islam to all my Moorish brothers and sisters. Peace to all my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earth, them 5%ers. I want to say salute to all my atheist brothers and sisters. I want to say peace to all my Albo brothers and sisters. I want to say bless up to all my Rasta brothers and sisters. Shout out to all my Catholics on behalf of my brother Lucifer. Last and certainly not least, I want to say Jumbo to all the rest of my brothers and sisters all throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America and beyond. Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you're Black, I'm with you, and I hope you with me. Our different ideologies shouldn't keep us from uniting. We can have unity without uniformity. And last and certainly not least, we can disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. With that being said, my brothers, please reintroduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV Worldview Wars Debate League audience. We're going to start with our brother Gideon.
Shalom, shalom. This your brother Gideon, Yarden, Israel. Appreciate everybody with their patience. And like DMG said, man, I definitely appreciate Lucifer, man. The brother, our brother, my brother, he helped us out so we can get y'all this presentation, this debate, and it's going to be a good one. So thank y'all for waiting, man.
Shout out, shout out. Let's go over to the devil.
I'm a Catholic, so I do it for the church people. Come through suited up like church people. Come through suited up them dirt people and the pistol German like Dirk's people. Fuck the Hebrew movement. That shit is straight madness. That shit don't fly over here. You niggas straight maggots. Oxymoron. These niggas straight faggots. Bringing up Rudolph Windsor. Like, what this fag on? That shit had been dead. He letting it drag on. Facebook. Them stories shouldn't last long. Speaking of stories, we at the graveyard trying to find you a plot to fit in. This Hebrew nigga gonna die like Abba Bibbins. He gonna be wishing for Christ the Redeemer when I spin through New Orleans like Hurricane Katrina, wetting everything like Hurricane Katrina. Now the scheme was clever. Now I can make the scene better because I come from the mean era, wetting everything like the Green Sahara. You want to be a Jew? That's cute. Since you want to be a Jew, I got a small cap for your head. And you spend the rest of your life in a black suit. Only place for black Hebrews? The morgue. Christ told you he ain't come to bring peace, but a sword. If you Hebrew, when the last time you made something bleed for the Lord? Ain't Hebrews killers? When the last time you let something stink? When the last time you earned rank? Nigga, you from New Orleans. You niggas saints. Pull up in a DTS, NBC, ABC. I'm a air clips if I CBS. I'm a clap since he from the know ya. Glock finger popping his pussy in public. Indecent exposure. That nigga JJ crying again in the back chat line again. I could have thought of 7,000 rhymes, but that nigga did this shit 7,000 times. Every time he lose, he got 7,000 excuses. Check his criminal record. He got 7,000 abuses. Check his drug history. He got 7,000. All you do is bitch after a loss. If you ain't trying to debate, then you useless. Say anything to me, I'm clapping you. Now back to you, the wannabe Jew. You think being a Hebrew make you valid? Don't the Bible teach you if you want anything, you got to get it through violence? Lemon squeeze on the Glock, tossing this fruit salad. After I beat this nigga ass, it ain't gonna be no clearer. You gonna have to look at yourself this Sunday in the mirror. I heard you was teaming up with Jeremiah. That's 2 weak bitches teaming up like Sunday in the mirror. I let a clip bust. And you ain't gonna do shit But bitch up, and I've been telling you niggas, it ain't a debate. It's a stick up, Lucifer. Damn. Let's go.
And here we go.
What in the hell did we unleash, y'all? Listen, man. Hey,
Yeah, I mean, damn, that wasn't the opening, huh?
my brother, hey, Gideon, listen, man, I didn't mean to do
Oh,
this.
I think my computer broken.
Yeah, I'm this brother right here, man. Jesus. Hey, honey, is Honey in the chat? Come get him, man. Come get him. All right, listen. Gideon is the affirmative. The franchise is the negative, meaning Gideon will go first. He'll have a 3-minute opening. Lucifer will follow with a 3-minute opening, and then we will go into our 15-minute rounds. They will be having 15-minute rounds because this will be determining a new Worldview Wars Debate League world champion. That being said, Gideon, let me know when you want me to share your screen, and the time will start when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to share my screen. Hey man, that was a good rap, Lucifer. What's your rap name? Dirty Red? But yeah. So let's go, man.
Screen is up and time will start when you're ready to go.
All right. Yes.
Oh, real quick before you go, do you want a 1-minute warning or a 30-second warning in this opening or no?
You can give me a 1-minute warning.
All right, you'll get a 1-minute warning, and Joshua, let me know if you want the same or something different.
That'll work.
All right, getting your time to start when you start talking, bro.
All right, definitely. Just want to use this fair use warning in case something come up where it's needed. But shalom. I want to give all praises to the Most High in the name of Yahshua. I want to thank DMG for hosting tonight's debate, my opponent Lucifer for agreeing to participate and helping me, and everyone in the chat for tuning in and taking time and being patient. I also want to thank Lucifer for showing up and being the adversary that he is. So tonight's debate is, were Israelites among the ancestors of enslaved Americans? This is a topic that's been heavily discussed within the conscious community, with Israelites being well versed in this matter. And I say Israelites because I believe mainstream scholarship has not fully examined all of the documented evidence necessary to make a definitive assessment. The history of the Ma'afa was not simply the carrying away of African people. It was also accompanied by the destruction and disruption of African societies, kingdoms, and historical records. This created an environment in which Africa's history could be misunderstood, minimized, or overlooked. I want to acknowledge right now, before we go any further, a couple of things. First of all, there's two artists, while I was making this presentation, and their music really inspired me, and I just definitely want to give them a shout out right now. And that's going to be Maya Warren, and it was her song, particularly At the Cross. And we all know our brother Chance the Rapper, and his song was called Yarden. So I definitely recommend y'all check that out. I also want to acknowledge my own channel, Cushite Israelite, where I have presented more extensive research on this subject, but I pulled a couple of things from it. And I also want to thank my brother Dante Forson and his channel, from which I used one map in particular and source material from that will appear in this presentation. Now, before I begin, I want to clarify what I meant when I say Israelite origin. In its strictest sense, Israelite origin means descent from the ancient nation of Israel. It is extremely difficult, perhaps impossible, for an individual today to personally trace a continuous bloodline 3,000 years into the past without significant evidence to just make that claim. That requires historical records and accounts that reach back through those centuries. But my argument tonight is not based on the idea that every individual must personally prove a 3,000-year genealogy. Instead, I will examine the historical movement of Israelite populations, the evidence for their presence and dispersal, the possibility of their incorporation into West African societies, and the historical circumstances that eventually produced populations vulnerable to enslavement. I also want to make one important clarification. When I use the term Israelite, I'm not necessarily referring to someone who was observant or continually descendant from Jacob. I'm speaking of people
that is time.
who are descended from Jacob. Yeah.
And Gideon, when I flip back over from looking at the clock, your screen is blank. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, it went blank about 5 seconds ago.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if that, I was like, I don't know how long it had been like that because I was going back and forth looking at the clock. I just wanted to make sure I ain't miss it. Okay, I'm gonna unshare your screen. Joshua, I'm gonna bring yours up as I reset the clock, and you will get a 1 minute warning as well. Time to start when you start talking.
All right. I know y'all had to sit back and listen to that, fiction. So here's a real opening. So formal debate opening statement. The topic are Israelites among the ancestors of African Americans. My man brought up a few things about personally being able to trace to the Israelites 3,000 years. That's going to be your issue tonight. Also, he brought up historical movement of Israelite occupation. That will be discussed tonight. And those are going to be daggers. That's going to end the discussion. My opponent is Gideon, of course. My position is the negative. I'm saying Israelites are not biological ancestors of African Americans. I have key evidentiary evidence that deal with archaeogenetics, epigraphy, stratigraphy, and population genetics. We're going to be dealing with occupation layers. We're going to be dealing with material culture. We're going to be dealing with demography. Demography is the study of movement of peoples. So we're actually going to see where the true ancestors of African Americans were. And we're going to show that these people were nowhere near the Levant. And that's what my opponent has to show you. He's having a geological issue, a geolocation issue, and a chronological issue at the same time. And that's what we're going to demonstrate tonight. So to my judges, moderator, and audience, and my opponent, Gideon, we are here to address specific historical question. Are ancient Israelites among the ancestors of African Americans? To answer this, we cannot rely on rhetoric or symbolic identity. And I guarantee you that my opponent is going to rely solely on rhetoric and symbolic identity. He's going to read verses and say, see, this is the proof, because to them, to the Hebrew Israelites, reading a Bible verse and interpolating the Bible verse is the evidence. No, you got to show hard evidence that African Americans are Israelites. We must examine archaeogenetics, stratigraphy, and epigraphy, things we listed before. When we test this claim against peer-reviewed ancient DNA papers, regional archaeology, and textual evidence, the model fails on every account. So All right, I'll be brief. 3 scientific pillars of the argument: the Israelite profile and the Levant. We know the Israelite profile. We know they come from the Canaanites. We know what that genetics looks like. We know when they're first mentioned. So we have a timestamp. They're first mentioned in the Meneptah Stele, 1208 BCE. We know what their DNA looks like. They're Caucasus Iranian people. African Americans are not related to Caucasus Iranian peoples. They're not. Second pillar, archaeology in the Chad Basin, stratigraphy. We know a lot about the Chad Basin, where many of the West African ancestors of African Americans come from. We know when it was occupied, who it was occupied by, what they were doing during that time, and what's the issue? They're in these regions at the same time of the Israelite epoch. And the third pillar is chronological incompatibility. As I just mentioned, you can't say African Americans are Israelites or the descendants of Israelites, because during the development of the Israelite
is time.
VM.
Let me unshare your screen. All right, Brother Gideon, we are entering the 15-minute round period. So Got your clock set. Let me pull your presentation back up.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna mute my mic and I will start your time when you start talking.
Yeah. And I just want to make a clarification on my opening statement. What I said, or what was meant to be understood by what I said, was that I'm not here to prove every African American can prove his genealogy back 3,000 years to Israel. What I am here to prove that there is a culture and a historical tradition of West Africa being a haven for Israelites, not only West Africa, but South Africa and East Africa as well. So let me go to my presentation. Now, here we're going to see the overall migration pattern of Israel into Africa based on the evidence. From Jerusalem going to Ethiopia, spoken of in Kings, and from Ethiopia to Spain, and then to Ghana and the Congo, we see the Israelite merchant establishing colonies in Africa since 1000 BC, with the outposts eventually becoming firmly established sovereigns in the region, moving from one politic to another, existing for hundreds, in some places thousands of years, until the flood of war and displacement led them to the edge of West Africa, pouring into the slave ships of America like lemmings off the cliff. Joining hundreds of other African or co-Africans into the throes of the transatlantic slave trade, never to be seen as freemen again. Now what happened? Because we are not taught this in the halls of learning, and it's actually taught quite the opposite, as we can see here, the term dark Africa and what it implies. So what we start with is something I coined as population displacement via forced migration. So what we see here is the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. And we see from that, they go to Spain and then to Beta Israel. 136 CE, we see the Bar Kokhba revolt, where we see 500,000 people were killed. Now, with the number 500,000 killed in Bar Kokhba and 1 million killed in Jerusalem, we can see that if we assume a 50% male share and 20% male population in a conflict, the total population of the affected group will be roughly 5 million. However, this is just the estimate. Now, looking at this population displacement, we're looking at who they're running from. That's the Roman Empire. So it only makes logistical sense for all these people to flee, not towards Rome, but towards Africa. So again, this population displacement is putting a rough estimate of at least to 100,000 to 5 million at the most generous end of African Israelites going further into Africa. And we can see these sources based on Cassius Dio stating the 500,000 killed, and Josephus speaking of the 1 million killed. Now, my audio is down, but when we see this, Dr. John Henry Clark is actually stating how the Jew is actually a black, brown, and red man. And he is questioning, how did this European come to dominate this term? And again, I wish I can have that snippet for we can hear. But the question is, how did all this happen? Because when we look at the maps, we see ancient maps that tells us of Yuhadin's sovereignty from the mountains to the sea. I mean, this is maps that, we're going to look at. The first one is a 17th century French map titled Cartel de Negrit, or a map of Negrit and Guinea, by the cartographer Pierre Duval, 1619 to 1682. Now let's look at this map and actually what it says. Now we're going to focus on this point that I have highlighted, because it's actually interesting, and this is something we have to see, because again, this is something we are not taught. Now, as we see, this is in the region of the Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria area. And we see this phrase that's I have circled right here. This is an authentic 17th century map. This is in the Lake Chad area. That actually says country of the Jews. So we have that as an established historical source stating that the area of Lake Chad in the 17th century was called the country of the Jews. Now we have the Earth field, which is the world's oldest surviving terrestrial globe. It was created in the 15th century, 1492. And it actually gives us a European view of the world immediately before Columbus' first voyage. Now let's look at this area right here. This is going to be in the Congo, the region that I have circled right here, and we're just going to continue to go on and just magnify more. Now it's interesting. There's a lot of writing that we see right there. So when we look even closer and see what it says, it actually says Gulf of the Jews. So when I say we have maps from the 15th and the 18th century stating Israelites having the mountains to the Gulf, we see it. But now let's go to some of the source material and let's see what they speak about these things. Now, the first one we're going to go to is the Tariq al-Fatash. This was recorded in the 15th century. It's stating that Israel and Mali had 333 wells and an army of 1,500 men. Again, so when we do the numbers and we look at 333 wells, let's just think about how many people that's supplying. And this is what it says in the Tariq al-Fatash. And speaking of 100 of the remaining ones, Ozark, this, and, it continues to speak. But then he says, ask Muhammad that Bani Warren, a city with a camel of Banak in Algeria and the desert, so I regret that a place, and a dwelling elephant was the sum of the sons of Israel. Now let's go to Benjamin Tudela, 12th century. Let's look at the location. Let's go to the highlighted section. The country is mountainous, seeming. There are many Israelites here, and they are not under the yoke of the Gentiles, but possess cities and castles on the summits of the mountains. Now let's keep this seeming in mind because it's important. Is something I'm gonna go back to just to make further connections to the history of Israel and Africa. Let's go to El Idrisi, 12th century. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to read all of this. I have it mostly highlighted. He's speaking of in Cameroon. They were in Cameroon, well-known towns. And, he says, Aqua Lama of the desert. The inhabitants of the country of Cameroon, according to the report of the merchants, claim to be Jews. Their belief is a confused mixture of all things. Keep that in mind. They recognize neither kings nor property rights. Now we have Marco Polo, 13th century. He states Habasha, Abyssinia, is a very great province, and he continues to speak on it. And then he's speaking about the 6 kings. And then he says, there are Saracens, but the greatest of the 6 is Christian, and all is subject to him. There are also Jews in the country, and these bear marks, one on either cheek. So this is another source that we have, speaking of Israelite populace in Africa. Leo Africanus, 16th century. Again, back into the Congo region, whereas Marco Polo, he was describing the area in the Chadic region. Leo Africanus says, the Lord of heaven and this prince of religion, or this point of religion, was not delivered unto them by any prophet or teacher, but was inspired as it were from God himself. After that, having the Jewish law, where they have said to continue for many years. Now let's look at a modern population displacement via forced migration, 1200 to 1700. Located in South Yemen, this abandoned city, according to the indigenous population, was deserted by the inhabitants, leaving to Africa, traveling through the Pusula Valley, wherein at the mouth of the Zambezi in Africa are found remnants of stone structures in a town called Sayuna, i.e. Senna. In 586, they, the Limba, were captured and brought to Mesopotamia and rescued by the Buba clan. Arriving in Senna, they eventually, due to persecution, migrated via Pusula and the Great Ocean to Africa, traveling through Mozambique. In his book, Lost Tribes of Israel, the prophet speaks on the Limba, stating of their migration from Jerusalem to Yemen to Africa, noting of not only the renaming of Sinan in Yemen to Sinan in South Africa, but the same tribal name transference as well. Now let's look at this. In the published journal by Tanya Schwartz, Ethiopian Jewish immigrants in Israel living well and becoming deaf in the homeland, she states Emperor Shah in the 15th century reigned was a significant period in the history of Israel because it marked the beginning of their dislocation and loss of land rights. Leo Africanus states, speaking of Askia Muhammad, in the book History of Africa. The king is a declared enemy of the Jews. He will not allow any to live in the city. If he hears it is said that a Berber merchant frequents them or does business with them, he confiscates his goods. So we continue to see this tradition. Now let's go to cultural attrition through tribal diffusion, which is the gradual decline or dilution of apparent culture's tradition, practices, and collective identity as its population disperses into distinct tribal groups, resulting in fragmented ethnogenesis, the emergence of many different populations from a parent group. Now here we have El-Idrisi in the 12th century saying the inhabitants of Cameroon are claimed to be Jews. And next to him, we have Leo Africanus saying to the north of Congo upon the seacoast became the kingdom of Luango. It abound with elephants. The inhabitants called Brahmas are circumcised after the Jewish manner. So we can see how that's kind of diluting. But let's go further. John Bourbeau in the 18th century says Luango in ancient times, the natives were all wild and man eaters. So we see this natural, or rather not natural, but this attrition that's happening to the culture of Israel that has been documented from the sources that I just provided. So let's continue on. Now, we see the same laws among certain tribes as Israel. And about of those laws, I'll pick this law. And it comes from Numbers 5:19, which is the law of jealousy. In the book Mission from Cape Coast Castle to Ashanti, with the descriptive account of that kingdom, he speaks of King Opoko's kingdom. A man and a woman were beheaded on an intrigue. The woman was handsome and the wife of a captain. On their being suspected, both were ordered to drink doom, which choking them were immediately executed. Let's go to another book. A description of the coast of North and South Guinea and Ethiopia interior, vulgarly Angola. Sometimes the belly move causes a person drinking to drink a large draught. If he be innocent, he will vomit up immediately, but guilty will foam about his mouth and prove him guilty. I cannot here forbear making this observation. So we see that again, not only that we see the historical evidence speaking of Israelites in the area, but we see anthropological evidence that's tying these foreign tribes that's showing that they have culture with Israel. Now let's go to cistration. Is a special form of scarification. The most complicated cistration was probably found in the Congo Basin. Why am I bringing up cistration? Why am I speaking about this one? This is against the law in the Torah. My opponent said I should be knee deep in Bible verses by now. But you know, if we're approaching this academically, we don't need the Bible. El-Idrisi said the residents of Lam are Israelites, and for themselves and their country, most part immersed in ignorance and piety. Remember cultural attrition? When they reach the age of puberty, they stigmatize their face in temples by means of fire. These are signs which serve to make them recognized countrymen. Marco Polo. There are in Abyssinia 6 great kings with 6 great kingdoms, and of these 6 kings, there are 3 that are Christians and Saracens. But the greatest of all is a Christian, and all the others are subject to him. There are also Jews in the country, and these bear 2 marks, one on either cheek. Self-attestations. We have Eldad Hadani. He claimed his kingdom was located in Havilah, the land of gold, and we can find that from his book. We have David Rubini, 16th century, described by fellow people who copied or wrote about him as a Cushite. He spoke of an Israelite kingdom in Habor with over 100,000 subjects. And we can find that in the Diary of a Black Messiah, evidence for ancient Jewish communities in Black Africa, The Jewish Challenge by Ulysses Sambrans. I got this from Dante's channel. And it says, these groups went as far as Akkor in the southern Sahara, and according to the Chronicles of Sudan, the dynasty of the kings of Ghana originated with this group. And what group is that? That's the Israelites. We know that from time of Saint Jerome, a chain of Jewish commercial towns stretched almost interrupted from Mesopotamia to Sub-Sahara. Now, let's look at, this is where most of the slaves were taken from. And isn't it a coincidence that approximately about 6 million was taken from that area? So again, we're looking at all of these dispersals or forced migrations into Africa, where it is by population displacement. You know, we have numbers that, you know, are self-attested to numbers in Israel. And we have anthropological assessments, such as the 300 whales and the 1,500 fighting men. Now, let's look at the slaves taken as a group and as individuals.
That is
We
time.
have the Ma'afa.
That is time. That is time. I don't know if you heard me when I said I gave you a 2-minute warning as well, brother. So, but
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just showing Miguel Barra. He is the Israelite slave. He was working in the mines who rebelled in the 16th century. He was an Israelite. Shalom.
All right, I'm gonna remove your screen, and then I'm gonna bring up
No.
Lucifer's.
Don't bring my stream up yet, brother. Don't bring my stream up yet. Let me rebuttal real quick.
All right, let me reset the time.
No, it's your presentation. Then but you can rebuttal. You go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Real quick. Just real fast.
Let me reset the time, and time will start when you start. Just let me know when to bring your screen up. Time will start when you start talking.
Bring my screen up, man. All right. So what you guys heard was a bunch of fiction. Mind you, for the judges and the audience watching, he kept using the word claim. When he brought up Tariq al-Fatash and his statements about so-called Jews being in so-called areas, he kept saying claim. A claim is not solid proof. It's just that, a claim. I just want to address all of these maps that he was showing and the European fascination of applying the lost tribe Israelite motif on everybody they came into contact with. So I'm going to go to Black Jews in Africa and the Americas, chapter 7, Divine Geography and Israelite Identities. In the beginning, we ain't going to take too much time here. In the colonial situation, Israelite racial identities were suggested or imposed almost everywhere throughout the world. They were often accepted as useful identities, adopted, internalized, in the process imbued with area and group-specific justification and genealogies. Societies everywhere have a tendency to construct a genealogical useful past for themselves in which desirable versions of their history are favored and unwanted narratives purged. Invented Israelite identities in African colonial situations were used for a variety of purposes in the web of colonial relationships. The creation, suggestion, or imposition of identities, narratives, and histories by colonists, missionaries, and others was but one aspect of a complex interaction between colonizer and colonized, between Europe, Africa, Asia, and Americas, between modernity and tradition, end quote. So everything he read from even the Islamic people, Tariq al-Fatish, he brought up El Danite. This is all myth speak. David Rubini, all of these people are just giving you mythological accounts of ancestry. None of this is proof. This is not anthropology. This is laughable. This is not archaeology. This is not genetics. You're just giving us someone's story, someone's tale, someone make-believe. I got one more, and then we're going to get into the presentation. If you want to know where the Jews went, because he brought up a timestamp, the Bar Kokhba revolt, that what's happened in the 2nd century CE, we're going to show that the ancestors of African Americans was in West Africa for thousands of years, had a continuity of dwelling in West Africa. During this time, they were not involved in no Bar Kokhbian revolt. But if you do want to know, let me share this tab here, where these Jews went, all you got to do is go over the archives. We know where these Jews went. They went to the Mediterranean, North African regions like Cyrene, Greece, and there's plenty of documentation. And I'm actually go through this in my rebuttal round and show you that, hey, they're in Asia Minor, they're in Greece, they're in Rome, they're in Anatolia. There's documentation. There's temple worship there. We can actually show you where these Jews went to. They're in Smyrna during this time. We don't have to invoke these old myths that my brother keeps doing. And with that, I'm gonna close this one, DMG, and I'm gonna go to my presentation. I'm gonna go into my presentation. But I couldn't let that slide.
I got you.
Not one.
You want me to stop your time?
No, keep it flowing. Keep it flowing. It's all good. Just had to make that quick point. So I'm sharing my screen now, and a PowerPoint on the screen. Slideshow from the beginning. So Lucifer versus Gideon. Are the Israelites amongst the ancestors of the African Americans? That's the question. And he didn't answer. He just gave you a bunch of claims. Today's agenda is the ancient Israelite DNA. We're going to go over that and prove that the ancient Israelite DNA has nothing to do with the ancestors of African Americans. Also, West African ancestry is going to be a focal point. We got to know who the West African ancestors are so we can know who the African American ancestors are, dealing with West African DNA and also West African chronology. So we're not jumping time and saying, hey, my ancestors was in the Levant. Well, wait a minute. How are they in the Levant and in Europe and West Africa at the same time? Somebody lying. So what is the Israelite? A descendant of the Hebrew patriarch Jacob. My man, you got to prove these people went back to Jacob. And if they all go back to one common male ancestor, what should they have, class? One Y DNA in common within the last 3,000 years. Or are you going to go more general and say, oh, well, they're just the native inhabitant of Northern Kingdom of Israel, as we see here? Then you're going to have to show autosomal DNA. You're going to have to show that these people belong to the Iranian Caucasus clan of groups, of peoples. The issue with the claiming that the children of one man named Jacob are amongst the descendants of the African Americans requires significant evidence that my opponent cannot provide. He needs to show a group that shares an ancient Levantine Y DNA passed down from father to son, which we know from modern data that West Africans and European DNA dominates the African American Y DNA pool. We know where our ancestors come from. It's primarily Western Africa and primarily Europe. And we know how long our ancestors been in these regions for thousands and thousands of years. You lost. Also, there is a geolocation and chronological issue with my opponent's claim. The ancient Israelites primarily inhabited areas in and near the Levant, not in Western Europe and Western Africa. The ancient Israelites are primarily an Iron Age grouping of people. During the Iron Age, the ancestors of African Americans were building and thriving in totally different localities in the world. From the Sahara to the Sahel, so we can actually pinpoint where these ancestors of African Americans come from. They come from the Sahara. More specifically, northwestern Sahara, right? By 2000 BCE, so we got a timestamp. My man Posse Pans over here claiming Israelite ancestry. They pop up in the Iron Age, but his ancestors actually show up in Western Africa, Western Central Africa in 2000 BCE. It says by at least 2000 BCE, this late Holocene aridity, meaning the drying up of the Green Sahara, pushed the pastoralists living in Southern Sahara into the Sahel zone of West Africa, where they initiated the beginning of a new epoch with deep socioeconomic changes. For all my judges, my sources will be on the bottom of the screen. As you can see, Oxford Handbook of Nigerian History. We can show pottery evidence in the Chad Basin. We can show people inhabiting the Chad Basin. We can show people inhabiting Nigeria during the time periods that he's claiming his ancestors go back to the Israelites or African Americans go back to the Israelites. We can show that this is conflicting that data. Comparison between finds in the Sahara Desert and the Chad Basin provides archaeological arguments for a Saharan origin of the first Chad Basin settlers. They didn't say Levantine, Jewish, Israelite, SARS, all this other stuff he was saying. He said none of that. The first Chad Basin settlers, the people living northeast Nigeria, come from the Sahara. Pottery finds are particularly compelling, while ceramic finds in the Sahara are remarkably old. Pottery appears in northeastern Nigeria only from the 2nd millennium BC onwards. That is beginning in the period in which pastoralists would have drifted south. So during this story of Abraham and the patriarchs and everything, during this so-called story, your ancestors were in Western Africa. They were already in Western Africa developing pastoralist economic packages. Unbroken continuity of the colonists. The people that colonized or went on to be migrants and live into West Africa, these people have been there forever since then. They didn't make no extra trips going to the Levant and say, hey, I want to be an Israelite today. That didn't happen. It says here, pushed southward by the Sahara's increasing aridity in the early 2nd millennium BCE, pastoral groups found ample unclaimed grazing lands only recently opened up by the drop in the Lake Chad's water levels. These colonists initiated developments, which, especially thanks to the unbroken continuity of ceramic development, we can see them developing pottery here, so we know they were living here. We don't have to guess. We don't have to play this trickery that you were doing with these divine maps and Israelite identity and, oh, this person's made this claim. No, we don't have to do that. We can show with I'm showing you actual archaeology. It says can be tracked into the middle of the first millennium BCE. So during the Israelite period, during the Iron Age 1 period, when we first see the Israelites mentioned by Merneptah Stele, your ancestors were in West Africa, and we can show you them in West Africa. It says the continuity is also attested by the similarities in economic and settlement patterns, burial practices, and lithic inventory, characterized by the drive to overcome a lack of sufficient resources. Again, same source, Oxford Handbook of Nigerian History. Here's a pictograph or map of these areas. As you can see, the Tlemcen Valley, the Hartachit, all these places are in West Africa, and all these places are older than the Israelite epoch. And during the Israelite epoch, his ancestors, my ancestors, African-American ancestors would be in these regions, and we can prove it. It says map of West Africa with important archaeological complexes over the last 2 millennia BCE. The last 2 millennia BCE. That's your whole biblical and Israelite period there. The ancestors of African Americans were in West Africa during the so-called dates of the Exodus, the so-called dates of Joshua, the so-called dates of the Israelite kingdom, Solomon, David, you name it. While all that stuff was going on, your ancestors, your actual ancestors, the African American ancestors was in Togo, Benin. They were in Nigeria. They were in Mauritania, Mali. This is where they were. And we also can trace this migratory movement from the Northwest down into Western Central Africa through pearl millet crop cultivation. We can track where these people started, because remember, these were agro-pastoralists. They dealt with agrarian lifestyles and economic packages. So as they traveled, they brought the know-how how to cultivate pearl millet from Northwest, Mauritania and Mali, down into Central Western Africa, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, etc. So again, going even more into the pearl millet cultivation, it spread quickly throughout the Niger River Basin from the Tlemcen Valley in Mali to northern Burkina Faso and to the rainforest of Ghana, the Katempo B sites, right? So we can trace this. In the time frame is 2500 to 1000 calibrated BC. This is why my opponent has a chronological issue here. As you can see, the source is on the bottom of the screen for my judges. The Gagiana phase 1, we can clearly see the ancestors of African Americans in West Africa building and developing and producing, right? And the Gagiana complex is from 1800 to 1500 BCE, and is characterized by pottery producing pastoralists of Saharan origins, not Israelite origins or none of this mythical stuff that he got from these nutbags from yesteryear. None of that. The phase 2 AB, around 1500 BCE, we can see these people organizing, living, having family lines and stuff of that nature, and sedentism. We can see these things, these occupation layers. And here's a map, and these dots are all of these occupation layers are where his West African ancestors come from, where all African American West African ancestors come from. They don't come from the land of Judah. They don't come from the land of Israel. And we got a time frame. So no, they were not in Egypt sojourning with Moses. Their ass was in the Chad Basin. Here's another map. As you can see, more development. These squares over here, these are more settlements, occupation layers where I found evidence of people living there. Families getting bigger, lineages getting bigger in these regions. In Western Africa, 1500 to 1000 BC. This is during the Merneptah Stele. This is during the Israelite formative years. Why the hell are they not in the Levant? No, they're not there. They're in West Africa. And here's the book from that source. Now, let's deal with the Merneptah Stele giving us our timestamp. It's no later than 1250 BCE. And I just showed you dates showing that, hey, during that time frame, the ancestors of African Americans were indeed in Western Africa. Why does this pose a problem, you may ask? As discussed thus far, my opponent is simultaneously having a geolocation and chronological issue. The ancient Israelites lived in and near the Levant as attested by the Merneptah Stele. During this time, the ancestors of African Americans were residing in ancient Chad Basin and surrounding areas. Before this period, the foreparents were Saharans. That's your issue. That's your problem. You're not going to get around this. You can read all these divine maps and these claims and mythicism, and you're not getting around this. Abba Bivens can't save you. He died. Now, Haaretz, we already extracted DNA from the ancient Israelites. It don't look
2 minutes.
It doesn't look anything like African American DNA. Like I keep saying, it's Iranian Caucasus, right? In the Canaanites begat Abraham. It says the highlight of the very partial results is that Y chromosome in the man belongs to J2 haplogroup. As you guys and everybody, the judges can look this up. The J2 haplogroup is non-existent, very, very much so non-existent in the majority of African American peoples. So for his claim, which is a general claim that amongst the African American ancestors, they're Israelites, we need to see more of this, but we don't. The actual Israelites have this ancestry. It says a group closely related DNA sequences that is believed to have originated in the Caucasus or Eastern Anatolia, a vast area including modern-day Turkey, northwest Iran, Armenia, and Georgia, or Azerbaijan, and southern Russia. This migration was already in motion in the early Bronze Age around 2900 to 2500 BCE, and also visible archaeologically with pottery from this period exhibiting strong influences from Anatolia and Caucasus. So we know where the Israelite ancestors come from. They come from the Caucasus. We know where African American ancestors come from, Western Europe and Western Africa. And we can prove that emphatically. I don't need to go to a whole bunch of Tariq al-Fattash, some shit from 12th century CE when people was thinking men walking around with dog heads. That's what they was thinking. Alchemy. That's what they was believing in. All the fairy tales. The Shrek. You don't believe in the Shrek. As you guys can see, again, this is the DNA of the ancestry of Israelites, as you can see, primarily coming from the Zagros, Caucasus, mixing within Southern Levant, over 55% during the Bronze Age, going into the Iron Age. These people have nothing to do with West African ancestors.
I was just about to say, and that is time. That is time. All right, let me remove the brother's screen. All right, well, he moved it himself. All right, Gideon, let me reset the clock at 15 minutes. And you can share your screen back. And we'll get you back started for your second round. As the brother prepares to do that, I'll let y'all know August 15th and 16th, we got a 2-night premium live event. It will be possibly, haven't decided yet. I'll let y'all know as we get closer to it. It may be members only. Sign up for the channel membership. It is dirt cheap. Night one, we got Big Hemi defending the Worldview Wars social media title against Mr. Cab, aka the Kemet Infomonger. The topic is, are Christians really monotheistic? Night two is the last argument standing debate battle royal, where 6 competitors will face off in random debate topics. They have no control over what the topic / resolution will be. They have no control over whether they will be the affirmative or the negative. I will pull 2 random names to start, and I will pull a random topic. They will each get 3 minutes to give their particular argument once they get the topic and once they are told who the negative and the affirmative is. After that, one judge will decide who won the argument. At that point, the person who was defeated will be dropped, a new challenger will come up, and the process will start over until we have one argument standing. The winner of that debate battle royal will face tonight's winner for the Worldview Wars Debate League World title at Debate Mania 2. So y'all be there for that, and we're gonna decide what's what when the last argument is left standing. That being said, Gideon, are you sharing your screen?
It should be sharing, huh?
I do not see it, bro.
Okay, the way dark, so it must have took me off of it.
Yep, just let me know when you got it. In the meantime, we'll continue talking to the people. Debate Mania #2 is coming up. We got 4 matches again for y'all this year right now, confirmed. We got our brother Nathaniel Hughes taking on our brother Khalil Shabazz. Was Master Ford Muhammad, Allah in the flesh. Khalil Shabazz will be the affirmative. Our brother Nathaniel Hughes will be the negative. We also have Silky D confirmed to be taking on Heru Conscious. Not sure what their topic will be yet. We'll let y'all know as we get closer to it. Both of those debates may be on the Saturday, on night 2 of Debate Mania. We also have a tandem matchup on night 1. So we working it out, man. It's coming together fast, so y'all be here for it. All right, Gideon, I see your screen, but it's not your presentation. It's that StreamYard screen. So you want to get your presentation and not the StreamYard screen. I'll leave it down while you get your presentation pulled up. Or do you want me to pull it up?
Nah, it should be coming up.
Okay.
You see it now?
Let me see. Nah, I still see the StreamYard screen. There it goes.
See it?
Yep. You just want to make it, just want to click on slideshow so it'll go to the full screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little while because it's just kind of slow. Because it's gonna drop out again because I dropped out and I came back. So let me see if it's gonna drop out. Okay, I should be good. I see it now.
Okay.
All right, we good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. All right. So
Do you want to, real quick, before you go, do you want to do the slideshow and make it bigger, or you want to go like this?
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Time to start when you start talking.
Yeah. So as my opponent did, like I thought he was going to do, he was going to run solely to DNA and missionary statements and missionary thoughts about them introducing that culture into Africa. It's quite crazy and it's quite absurd when you actually think about it. Now, my opponent wants y'all to believe that we're looking at all these people from the 10th century, 18th century, 12th century, 11th century. All of these people independent of each other, countries independent of their fellow countries at this time. So if he's hinting at a conspiracy, he has to show it instead of just implying it. And that's basically all he's done so far. I mean, he actually are criticizing firsthand accounts.
I stopped your time. I stopped your time, bro. It looked like we lost your presentation. I stopped your time at 14 minutes, 18 seconds. It looked like your presentation dropped off. Yep, try to pull it back up and see what happened. Oh, that's not it. Is that it? Or oh, okay, I see it. All right. Let me know when you're ready to start back.
Okay, let me just expand it.
All right. right, time will start at 14 minutes and 18 seconds whenever you're ready.
Again, so like I was saying, my opponent did exactly what I thought he'd do. Just doing a lot of postulation and discrediting the source material. It's actually quite laughable. Now, again, I'm not here to say that these pots and pans that he's speaking of, that people are finding and saying, I'm not saying those are Israelites. I'm not saying Israelites were the only people in those areas. So everything that brother said is actually a moot point, unless he has information that's contradicting the information that I'm bringing. And again, what I'm showing here is something called the Ngoma Lagunda. This is a war drum, and this is from the Limba people. And their tradition states that this is carved from remnants of the Ark of the Covenant. Now, again, if this is a debate and he's debating me, he has to challenge my information. And let's listen to what someone Tudor Parfit says about the drum. He says the Ngoma drum is a descendant of the wooden ark of Deuteronomy made by Moses, as mentioned in the Talmud and other commentaries. And to the right, what we see is the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Ethiopia, where the Ark of Covenant is said to be housed. Now, again, missionaries are not the origin of this history. For some reason, my opponent is bringing this up and bringing up DNA evidence, which what I will show that he definitely has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to that. So again, when he's relying on these missionaries to usurp information that was hundreds of years before them, is he thinking like the missionaries are magicians? It's crazy. Now let's go to the DNA, because what we need to understand and what Lucifer needs to understand is that have we really fully come to understand DNA? Genotyping is not fully understood because the relationship between genotype and phenotype is highly complex. It's influenced by multiple genetic and non-genetic factors and context dependent. Advances in genomics, epigenetics, and systems biology are improving our ability to interpret these matters. Now, I want the judges to keep in mind, and I brought that up for a reason, because my opponent made a lot of statements about how the DNA from Israelites and things of that nature couldn't be connected to sub-Saharan Africans, right? That's what a lot of people say. That's their last line of defense, because 10, 15 years ago, they were saying we were crazy for saying that Jews were even in Africa, West Africa. So now they had to temper that. And now, since they can't go against the material evidence, the archaeological and linguistic evidence as well, they have to go to something they have no idea what they're talking about, and that's DNA. And I'm about to prove that right now. Even the AI is leading these guys, these babies in DNA, to make these type of assertions. Now let's check this out. I asked the DNA a question. I said, does Aaron Elhak, a geneticist from Israel, state ancient Israel DNA was E1B1A? No. This is the answer. No, not based on published work I can find by Aaron Elhak. It says Elhak has written about Jewish ancestry and population genetics, including the origins of Ashkenazi Jews, but I do not find a published statement from him saying that ancient Israelites were specifically haplogroup E1B1A or EM2. His research has instead focused heavily on questions surrounding Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry and comparing models of Jewish populations. And, but let's continue. Now, Dr. Aaron Elhak, an Ashkenazi Jewish geneticist who has thoroughly examined the DNA of ancient Israelites extracted from archaeological sites in Israel, had this to say. Interestingly, the Y chromosome haplotypes of the ancient Israelites are typically E1, B1, and T1 haplotypes, commonly found today in Africa with lower frequencies in the Middle East and Europe. Again, these guys are babies when they're looking at this DNA evidence. Yes, you are correct. You see how you have to prod this out, even AI. So we know this brother don't know what he's talking about when he's talking about the phylogenetic tree. He's just repeating what he's heard. Yes, you are correct that Aaron Elhak did make that statement. My previous answer was too categorical and I should correct it. Meaning, Negro, I just thought you would have been satisfied with that. I didn't know you knew the exact statement. So again, you got to watch AI. Interestingly, he says in his 2019 article, Resurrecting the Ancient Israelites from the Valley of Dry Bones, Elhak wrote, interestingly, the Y chromosomal haplotypes of the ancient Israelites are typically E1B1 and T1 haplotypes commonly found today in Africa with lower frequencies in the Middle East and Europe. So to answer your original question precisely, yes, Elhak states that ancient Israelites he discussed were typically E1B1. So we see, let me continue, Y chromosomal haplotypes. So we see, and I wanted to state this earlier, that his, like AI was correct when I say he was half right. His research has instead focused heavily on questions surrounding Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry. And what he says about Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry is that they are not the original Israelite people. Actually, the original Israelite people, according to him, would have the phenotype of a sub-Saharan Africa. Now, let's give AI a little credit. It says, yes, Elhak states that the ancient Israelites he discussed were typically associated with E1B1 and T1Y chromosomal haplotypes. No, he does not specifically say E1B1A in that quotation. E1B1 is an older, broader designation and should not be automatically equated with E1B1A, EM2. E1B1A, E1B1 has historically been used as a broader classification encompassing branches that are now preferentially differentiated. So like I said, I will give him credit. I asked E1B1A, but instead of him saying no, he doesn't speak specifically on E1B1A, but he does say E1B1, which is the parent of E1B1A, is tied to the ancient Israelite people. And it is the parent group of E1B1A. So we see how even AI can be deceitful and not be informed. Continue. His statement also says these haplotypes are commonly found today in Africa, but that does not by itself mean, not by itself means he concluded that ancient Israelites were sub-Saharan Africans or black in the modern actual sense. That would be an additional interpretation that would need separate evidence. Again, so I'm being honest with the information. He doesn't say they're E1B1A, but it does say that they're E1B1, but with supported evidence, we can make that picture clearer. And the supporting evidence are the testimonial, the self-attestations, and the records of scholars and merchants about the Israelites, instead of him just being overly biased and taking the negative with no substantiation of any other material. He has yet in his quasi-rebuttal, he didn't rebut none of my sources except say that it's not true. Madness. Again, this is the phylogenetic tree of haplogroup E1B1B. Now we see that from this, it splits off into many branches. And we see here that it branches off into Ethiopia, and it goes to V68, M78, and this is what we share when we speak of the so-called African Americans. Now, if a person who is diligent in their studies, they would see that that's just a genetic diffusion, because all of these people here, we see they have E1B1A, but these are all different people. Now, I have sources that state the Israelites had the same phenotype as Ethiopian and Egyptians, substantiating what Aaron Elhak said, substantiating all the sources that I brought. These sources are in the early AD. 70 AD BC times, we have Tacitus saying that the Jews come from Ethiopia or Egyptians. And the other places that he named, as far as such as Crete, those in their inception were colonized and populated by black people. We see Strabo stating that these people were descended from Ethiopians. So how is it that I'm having 6 fields, including DNA, match my affirmation, whereas what he has is one overly biased DNA analysis and fingers in his ear when it comes to the source material, and stating that the missionaries brought it in, stating some stuff about that. Hold on, how did he say it? Let me make sure I have it. He said, I'm trying to get it in its completion.
You need me to stop your time?
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Time is stopped at 3 minutes and 8 seconds.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. So we can go ahead. You can get it going again.
All right,
and
time
again,
starts at 3 minutes, 8 seconds.
Again, and this is, you know, not to the only to the audience, but to the judges also. The statements that he's making are just erroneous and they're actually asinine. He says things like, how can the Jews be in this place and that place and this place? It's quite simple. You know, parent branches branch off. You know, we have something called Cajuns in Louisiana. They come from Acadians that were coming from Nova Scotia, that were expelled from Nova Scotia. So those people came to New Orleans, or rather Louisiana, and they still had countrymen in Nova Scotia. So it's quite possible for one people group to be in 2 different places at the same time. That's asinine. Again, my opponent, you know, he's making statements saying things like, you know, the Israelites aren't Israelites, they're Canaanites. Again, if he wants to stick to his pontification, at least he got to be, you know, correct in that. It's no scholar out here that will say the Canaanites are a people. You would have to go to the Bible with that. So again, my opponent has brought up the Bible more times than I actually have. So all of these points where he thought I was going, I'm sorry to disappoint him. I won't be going there tonight. Now, my opponent, again, is making very vague and cannot prove who the people in these studies he is talking about say they are. For instance, he's saying that people been eating pearl millet and, you know, catching it and cooking it. Who are these people that's doing that? And then again, I'm not saying those are the Israelites. So you're forcing a people on my argument. Stick to my argument, rebut my argument, and deal with the information. Let's not go drift off into some la-la land where you're speaking of population settlement. And I'm not saying the Israelites were the first people to settle those areas. And when you're speaking about E1, B1A, let's keep in mind, it's not indigenous to West Africa. So again, my opponent is playing with DNA. And when it comes to DNA, like I showed, he's a baby when it comes to it. Because I had an Ashkenazi geneticist pretty much debunk everything he said. So, you know, I think that pretty much covered everything I can, you know, think of. Again, he mentioned Abba Bivens. I mean, those aren't my sources. So I don't know who you thought you was coming to debate, but I'm sorry to disappoint you.
That is time. That is time. Let me reset the clock at 15 minutes. That was Gideon's second round. The brother has come with some powerful information, and now we will allow Lucifer to respond. I'll remove the brother's screen. And Lucifer, let me know when you are ready to share. Again, the brother came with some powerful information, and he will now be prepared for everybody's favorite part of the show, the chin check round. 12 minutes to ask his opponent as many questions as he can within a 12-minute time frame. But right now, the devil will get his due because he got 15 minutes for his second round. I'm gonna start when you're ready.
I'm ready, man.
Time starts at 15 minutes.
Don't y'all love when somebody that don't know what the hell they talk about claiming that you don't know what the hell you talking about? I just love when that happens. It's so funny because I can explicate DNA way better than you, and I don't need to go to AI to do it. You went to AI. You looked up Dr. Iran El-Hike. You didn't prove anything. You didn't rebuke any. You didn't refute anything I said, actually. You kind of low-key conceded. You said, yeah, we know that these people were there, right? I'm saying those are the true ancestors of West Africans or African Americans, not Israelites. You didn't refute none of that. But I'm going to rebut what you said. You brought up Dr. Aaron Hellhike. And since we want to use AI so much, since everybody love AI, JJ love AI, do a whole presentation with AI. I'm going to do it. So I just typed in Aaron Hellhike fringe. What did AI say? Since we're using AI, fighting fire with fire. Dr. Aaron Hellhike is widely considered a fringe figure in mainstream population genetics. He went to one of the most sued geneticists, one of the most sued geneticists in the business. While he holds legitimate academic credentials and highly cited, mainstream geneticists, historians, and linguists heavily reject this primary hypothesis regarding Jewish ancestry and language origins. There you go. Since you want to probe AI, how about you probe that? How about that? Now, I just want to, you make this very easy for me. Anybody can do this. I want my judges to do this. Just type in the age of E1B1. Divergence date. So I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Divergence date of E1B1. Brother, you failed. You didn't even come close. Let's just keep using AI. The divergence date of Y-DNA haplogroup E1B1, defined by the EP2 mutation, is estimated to be approximately 40,000 BC. Brother, there were no Israelites 40,000 BCE. You don't know what you're talking about. I want my judges to, clearly notate that this man is out of his lane. He out of pocket. Why would you even bring this up? Oh, E1B1. They all come from E1B1. Yeah. 42,000 years ago. The Israelites formed when? I gave you timestamps in my first round. The first mention we hear about is Meneptah around 1250 BCE. And during that time, we see West African cultivation and development and processes and occupation layers. You still haven't touched on that. You swept by it. You sticking to divine geography, you don't know what DNA is. Clearly, you don't. This is a 42,000-year-old haplogroup. From there, let's go to this paper here. I just was pulling up papers while you were talking, since I don't know anything, right? I'm a babe in this, right? You're right. That's why I'm gonna lean on the experts, right? So, insight into human history and complex traits from the genomes of African populations. And within this paper, it breaks down what haplogroup is more frequent in different areas, right? So if I go all the way down to the E1B1B markers, it clearly tells you, let me go ahead and hotkey it. There it is right here. You see what this says here? The Y chromosome consortium identified 10 haplogroups from West Central Africa. These haplogroups included E1B1A, E3A, B2A, which is what we find also amongst the Pygmies, E2 haplogroups, which were closely related to Bantu groups. We don't see E1B1B at high frequencies in Western Africa, which is what you were trying to reference, but you don't know the material. E1B1B is primarily North African and Near Eastern DNA. How does this help your cause? West Africans are the ancestors of African Americans. You need to be dealing with West Africans. You even brought up Beta Israel, some more East Africans. East Africans are not West Africans. This is the same point I brought up against Pan. Africans are highly diverse. People living on the other side of the continent are genetically different than the ones living in Congo. Completely different and disparate from each other. But when you don't know the information, which was an accusation that was levied towards me, you will make these silly claims. Let me hard find M123 real quick just to rebut this, man. This is easy. As you guys can see right here, these are E1B1B groups. Now, in West Africa, E1B1A is the dominant haplogroup, male haplogroup, right? It says here, previously regionally based study found that two most dominant Y chromosome haplogroups occurring in North African populations were M78 and M81. The second most was M267 and M172, though thought to have originated in the Middle East. Paternal lineage haplogroup frequency analysis of North African populations showed that haplogroup M81 is common in Northwest Africa with a decreasing pattern towards Egypt and the Levant. On the contrary, haplogroups M78 and M123 are more common in the Levant and Egypt and show a decreasing tendency towards Northwest Africa. Again, these are E1B1B markers that are non-existent in African American and West African population. These are very, 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 very minute. Very, very minute. They're negligible. So when you're bringing up E1B1B, it does not help your argument, because as I read in this paper, the primary haplogroups that deal with West African peoples are E1B1A, E1A, E2, B2, not E1B1B. So that doesn't help your argument. You're treading in unknown waters, sir. You're treading in unknown waters. From there, I want to go back to my presentation just to even stamp this even further. Let me close this, DMG. Let me stop sharing that.
All right, stop the time.
No, you can keep it going. There's no point. Let me share my. Matter of fact, let me go back to my pen presentation, because the same shit. Same thing applies here, right? Let me show y'all something real quick. This is what got Penn tripped up too with that race thing. Let me go to slideshow from current slide. Y'all see this? This is how different the different African populations are. When you look at somebody like the Oromo and Amhara, which are East African groups, he went all the way to Beta Israel. Oh, Beta Israel. Oromo, you see how different? You see the different colors mean different ancestry. Very different and disparate from somebody like the Igbo or the Yoruba or the Mandinka or the Jola, which are our ancestors who are African Americans. Very different. You're trying to match up all these different African peoples and say they're the same. He even brought up an Egyptian Jew. Oh, an Egyptian Jew. Egyptian Jews are Iranian Caucasus alike and aligned. What are you talking about? So you got Oromo, Somali, the Mozambique, completely different. That blue component is North African, right? Nothing to do with no West African. Completely different. But he mashed them all together because he read a bunch of mythological notes from these people that lived in 11th, 12th century, some Islamic traders, and went off of their. We might as well believe that there's gold in El Dorado. We might as well believe that. Let's believe in all the mythological stories. Why one? That's an Aristotle and dictum. Let's just believe in all of them, right? Let me stop sharing that. I just wanted to jump into that. Let me go back to my original presentation just to bring that out in my rebuttal. So I'm going to share it again, DMG. Hold on. Let me pop this up. You can keep the time flowing. Easy work. So back in my primary presentation here. So as you guys can see from current slide right here. Again, I showed in my first round, and in this rebuttal, I'm going to keep showing that there's a totally different origin for Israelites. As I said, it's clear that material culture, occupation layers DNA and rock art all point to completely distinct origins from the Israelite origins, which is mainly Caucasus hunter-gatherer and local Levantine ancestry. My opponent has yet to address this. African Americans are primarily West African and European. He has yet to address that point. EM2 lineages in the Sahel corridor. He kept bringing up E1B1A, not knowing that kills his argument. As I read in the rebuttal, E1B1A is mainly West African, West Central African, according to scientists. He ran to Iran El-Hike, which is seen as a fringe scientist by majority of professionals in the field. It says it is also worth highlighting the presence of relatively high proportion of EM2 lineages without the M191 or U209 mutations, which may belong to EM2 subclades present in North Africa. These results can be explained by ancient trade routes explored by men and by the natural connectors, Sahel corridor and Chad Basin. So like I've been saying, the entirety of the debate and the sources on the bottom, E1B1A carriers, West African men, descend from Saharan migrants. It's clear. It's all over the papers. Chadic and Nilotic lineages. The presence of the Chadic and Nilotic lineages found in populations must have entered West Africa in more ancient times before the desertification of the Sahel, as indicated in other studies. Again, these people have been in West Africa. Where is all your evidence showing that they were in the Levant and Judea during the biblical time frame? Where is it? Haplogroups EM191 and EM2 are contributing to separate the West populations from the remaining, with Yoruba and Igbo having more than 90% frequency of these haplogroups, meaning majority of Yoruba and Igbo Nigerians have this haplogroup. These are the most frequent lineages in sub-Saharan Africa, being absent or underrepresented in most populations from the North and East regions outside of the Niger-Congo family. Same source on the bottom of the screen. And my man Pots and Pans, Gideon, put on the screen that there's no evidence of E1B1A with Israelites. He literally put it. I screenshotted it. You literally admitted to that. And that's the primary male haplogroup of Western African people. And you conceded. You proved that the Israelites are not amongst the ancestors of African Americans when you put that AI slide up there when it said E1B. There's no evidence of E1B1A there. It requires interpretation, which is not proof. Again, no Israelite DNA detected amongst African Americans. Genome-wide ancestry estimates, Gideon, of African Americans show an average proportion of 73.2% African, 24% European, and 0.8% Native American ancestry. No ancient Levantine ancestry, no ancient Iranian Caucasian ancestry, none at all. And my sources on the bottom of the paper, Gideon. I don't have to go probe a bunch of identitarians from the past that's going around trying to find the lost tribes of Israel. They said that about everybody on the globe. They found the Native Americans. Oh, they lost tribe of Israel. Garcia, them clowns. They went to Papua New Guinea, said they were lost tribe of Israel. I'm going to actual studies, showing you actual science, showing you actual genetics, actual archaeology. I'm not using people that are fringe. I'm using people that go through the rigorous, mode when they go and submit their papers. Northwest African ancestry has been revealed that not only this variant, but also all surrounding haplotypes are shared between Fulani pastoralis and the Zanar and Burkina Faso, European and North African populations, suggesting admixture of the Fulani ancestors with North African populations. Again, this is what I was talking about, geolocation. You still haven't addressed this. Geolocation. We know where these people at because we can study their genes. We know where their ancestors were. They were in Northwestern Africa because they mixed with Berber-like people, which are from Morocco. So we know where they were at, Gideon. Again, all my sources on the bottom of the page. And as you can see, the admixture of the catechin furnace of ancient 340 years ago, African-American slaves in the catechin furnace. We know where their ancestry goes. The darker circles mean the closer relation. Where do we see the darker colored circles? The purples and the blues. We see it in Western Central Africa. We don't see it in the Levant, and we see it in Western Europe. That's the ancestry of African Americans. That's your ancestry right there. Western Europe, Western Central Africa. Here's ancient European ancestry.
1 minute. 1 minute.
All right. More genetic history of ancient Egypt. Again, your European ancestors have been in Europe for over 8,000 years. It's pretty much a wrap continuity there. Basically, they came from Turkey 8,000 years ago. Many of your Naya early European farmers and stuff of that nature. Again, blacks and African Americans are closer to Europeans and Western Africans, not ancient Israelites, not Iranian Caucasus peoples, not settled Levantine peoples, not King Ahab and all of your mythical stories. None of that stuff. Black or African American participants were distributed along PC1, represent a gradient between African and European genetic variation. Why are they between African and European genetic variation? Because we are an admixture of both populations. And that can be proven with genetic data. I've already proved with archaeology and anthropology where your people are from. Again, African ancestry by state, it can get as high as 85% in South Carolina, 85% in Florida, as high as 77%.
It's time. My apologies. I meant to give you a 2-minute warning, so my apologies on that. Judges don't hold it against them. That was on me. I should have gave a 2-minute warning. It is time for the section where debates are won and lost. This is the chin check session. Time is being set at 12 minutes. As y'all know, in the chin check session, each debater has 12 minutes to ask their opponent as many questions as they can within that time frame. This is mano y mano. The person asking the question, it is their time to manage. I will only step in if it gets stagnant, meaning the person being asked the question begins to stall a bit too much. It begins to be too much of a back and forth, etc. It is the person asking the questions time to control. However, they do have 3 timeouts. If it begins to get too contentious, if they feel their question not being asked, if they want to reset, ask the question over again. If they wanted to just go to they ask the question gets answered, it's a yes or no question. Whatever it is they want to do, they have 3 opportunities to stop their time. Now, let me get out my trusty notepad and write down Lucifer on VM and Brother Gideon on the other side so I can keep track of the timeouts if the brothers choose to use them. Some people use them very strategically, others do not. Now, since Gideon is the affirmative and he went first in the round section, he will go last in the chin check and he will close out last. So that means Lucifer will start the chin check. He will be interrogating Gideon and time will start as soon as he start asking questions.
We got 12 minutes, right?
12 minutes.
All right, we can start right now. All right, brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, can you show me a specific Y DNA or mitochondrial DNA haplogroup that can point, that originated in the Iron Age Israelite period that expanded into West Africa?
No, based on my presentation, I showed that the genetic information that you're talking about, you have no idea. And I use source material and source scientists to show the point that I wanted to show, which is that E1B1B is a parent haplogroup of E1B1A.
Yeah. Can you tell the people how old E1B1 is so we can get on the record how old that haplogroup is?
No, and you can't either. You're just going to regurgitate the most up-to-date info on it, which can change at any moment.
So we're not going to go off of established dates. Okay, when did the Israelite period start? Can you give me that date?
What do you define as the Israelite period?
I mean, historians they define the Iron Age 1 period as the Israelite period.
Oh yeah, Israelite was established as a nation roughly 1000 BC.
Okay. So during my first round, I showed that West Africans were in the Chad Basin during that same time period.
Right, I wouldn't disagree with that. Israelites weren't the only people on the planet.
All right. I'm not saying Israelites are the ancestors of West
So
Africans.
that's the way your question was steering it towards. But go ahead.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Are the ancestors of African Americans West Africans?
The majority of them, yes.
All right. So that's a concession. I want the judges to understand he just conceded. Majority
That we are that. Hold on, let me make sure I am. You said, are we the descendants of West Africans?
you said a majority of them. It's on the record.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a descendant of a West African.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
African Americans are descendants of West Africans. Correct? I mean, you already conceded. You can play, but you already conceded.
No, I already answered the question.
Can you show me the material culture migrating from Iron Age Israel into Western Africa? Do you have that evidence?
Well, I'll stick with the info I showed in my debate. We have the archaeological and material evidence from, showing a migration pattern from at least to Ethiopia to Zimbabwe. And that would be the Mount of Zion Church, which has a tradition of housing the Ark of the Covenant itself. And we have texts that go back as far as, Ethiopian indigenous texts, Kevin the Gas. And we even have the Bible speaking of that union and that merger. And we see the continuance of it in Ethiopia and Yemen being an early hub for Israelite activity.
Now, in my first round, I mentioned that you have a geolocation issue. Is Ethiopia in West Africa?
Last time I checked, it's not.
Okay. So what does that have to do with West African peoples? And you said from Ethiopia to Zimbabwe. To east, that's on the eastern side of the continent, not on the western side. That's not Niger Congo. Okay.
Right. Well, which is why I said up to this point, or rather I said in this presentation, I will show that you have archaeological evidence from Ethiopia to Zimbabwe up to this point. That's what I presented.
So you don't have archaeological evidence for Nigeria, right? You wouldn't have that.
Yeah, you have the maps that I showed. That would be archaeological evidence.
Yeah, mythical maps are not archaeological evidence. But neither here there.
Okay, wait. We'll get to that mythical in my time. But it seemed like you fishing for questions, but you can use that too because you had a couple of gaps in your Q&A. But go ahead.
Sure, I got a couple gaps, but you've already conceded twice already. I just want the judges to know that he conceded that majority of our ancestors are West African. He also conceded that he doesn't have any archaeological evidence in Western Africa connecting them to the Levant. He went all the way to East Africa to make his point, which is moot. Anyway,
I stated the maps. I stated the maps as well.
All right. So can you show any archaeologically defined specific material culture in West Africa from the Levant? I'm going to ask this again. I want to see it. From the Levant to West Africa.
Again, like I said, I haven't presented it in my debate, but I can speak of we can see cultural transmission from Israel all the way to Africa, all the way to the New World. And when I speak of that, I'm speaking of, give me 1 second while I pull it up.
Man, you're going to kill all my time trying to pull something up.
Can you call the DMG? If not, I'll just go off the dome and speak on it.
Just answer.
And the judges.
We don't share the screen during the chat.
Yeah, there's a paper written by Lucino Hearn, and I want to say 1936, Again, this was not part of my presentation. I gave you the archaeological evidence, but I give you additional. So I'm giving this to you off the dome. Lucille Hearn in the 20s or 30s, she wrote in the New Orleans Times about a practice that we practice in New Orleans. It's a voodoo practice where we will actually insert things into pillows, whether it's chants, spells, or totems, and it will harm the person it's intended for. Now, if you go to the book of Ezekiel, you will see Ezekiel speaking of the same practice and method, all the way down to explicitly stating that it's pillow magic. So again, if you go to my channel, Cushite Israelite TV, I actually show the source, and we can see that cultural transmission in that. So along with the maps, along with the Ngomo Lagundu, which is the drum,
Can I get
all
a
the
pure?
way to the historic Mount Zion Church where the ark is said to be housed.
Gideon, that will suffice. That will suffice, bro. That will suffice. Now, can you give me a pure, since this is a debate, I need a peer review. Can you just cite me a peer reviewed article that affirms any of that, what you just said? Anything that you just said.
Yes, well, I cited to the prophet how he speaks on the limba about the Ngomo Lagunda, which is the drum.
Okay.
And he speaks of they themselves self-attesting to the drum during the Ark of the Covenant pieces.
Enough. Where are the limba located?
South
You
Africa.
said stop your time, Joshua?
Oh, no, I just wanted him to stop.
Oh, my bad.
The limba are not located in Nigeria. They're not in Benin, Togo. They're not in Cameroon. He is, again, escaping from West Africa, which is, he already admitted, judges, that is the primary source of ancestry of African Americans. But he been to Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, and now he's in South Africa with the limba.
Right, because you're asking for archaeological, not historical or linguistic or documented evidence. I'm speaking of material, like tangible things that they can pick up in West Africa. But as I showed in my debate, there was a term when they brought us from Africa and they used it to describe Africa, which is dark Africa, meaning that we had no institutions, we had no civilizing culture. But if you look at it, Ibn Hakal, he states that Ghana had a check writing system, but we would not know that because, again, we were taught dark Africa. And not only was it the suppression, but it was the destruction of those societies. So again, we don't have archaeological evidence, but we have historical evidence. We have linguistic evidence, and we have the cultural transmission, as I showed. Not only in the culture with the law of jealousy.
You're killing my son. Stop. All right, you said linguistic evidence. I'm just going to attack that point because I only have a few minutes, right? What is the language of the Israelites?
The original language of the Israelites was, they coined it Hebrew.
Hebrew. And what language family does that fall into? What branch?
That would be the Asiatic, the
Afro-Asiatic.
Yeah, Afro-Asiatic, correct.
What is now you've already admitted that majority of our ancestors comes from West Africa. What is the primary language of West Africans? Language family?
The primary language family would be the Niger Bantu family, if I'm not mistaken.
Niger Congo. So judges, he just showed that there is no linguistic evidence because the primary language of West Africans, which he's already admitted that most of our ancestry comes from, is Niger Congo and not Afro-Asiatic, where the Hebrew comes from. So
well, again, this is a conversation, off the cuff. You're not sticking to my presentation. We do have documented evidence. The kings of Congo were called Malak, which is the same term for the kings of Israel. We see in slavery voyages,
so
numerous names. I know you don't want to hear it. But yeah, there is substantial evidence besides archaeological evidence.
What is your definition of Israelite? Is it a biological thing, or or a spiritual identity?
It's both, but in this debate, I'm speaking of strictly the physical lineage.
Okay. And you already admitted that most African American physical lineages go back to West Africa. You've already admitted that.
Yeah, I admit it again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, our biological genetic population goes back to West Africa, which flies in the face of your whole premise, which is supposed to be proven that are there Israelites amongst Africans.
I didn't answer yes to that question because I don't know what type of pseudo judo word salad you just put in there. You asked me were we descendants of West Africans?
Time out.
Period. And that's what I said.
I'm out because I'm
So
gonna
the
get this.
judges have that noted, judges.
All
Time
right,
out.
Lucifer has called his first timeout with only 23 seconds remaining.
All right. I want to get the last question in because this is gonna kill it.
All right, time starts.
Percentage wise, how many African Americans are descendants of ancient Israelites?
Again, as your presentation showed, you're clearly relying on the white man European information too much. We really can't get it. We really can't get it down to those numbers as I showed and as I stated. The attention to Africa as far as archaeological and culture has been severely underutilized.
Ladies
And when
and
I say
gentlemen,
white, I'm not making a disparagement statement to white people. You know, the Most High loves all.
camera saying 80% of African Americans are Israelites.
Hey man, listen, this is why we say the chin check session is where debates are won and lost. That was Lucifer's chin check session. We are turning it over to Brother Gideon. Brother Gideon is in charge of his time. He does have 3 opportunities to stop his time. Time will start when he starts asking his questions.
Yeah, appreciate it, DMG. Yeah, man, appreciate Lucifer for being a sacrifice, man. It's always a pleasure doing business with you. Let me ask you a question, bro. E1B1A, is that or rather is E1B1B an ancestor of E1B1A?
No, E1B1B is not an ancestor of E1B1A. They're brother clades. They come from the same parent clade 40,000 years ago.
Okay, so the phylogenetic tree that I showed was incorrect?
You didn't show a phylogenetic tree. You showed an AI inquiry about Aaron Hellhike.
Okay, so yeah, for a fact, you definitely punch drunk because I definitely showed a phylogenetic tree, and I'm going to ask the judges to look at it again because according to the phylogenetic tree, E1B1A is descended from E1B1B. So let's have that on the record. Again, this dude is a baby with the DNA, so we're not even much going to entertain the DNA because he totally was off with that one right there. But let me ask you this. You said Aaron, you said Aaron L. Hawk, right? You said you pulled up AI right quick, and we definitely seen what AI would do. So you pulled up AI in a debate for your rebuttal without even vetting it or even putting it in context, which I clearly did, showing the good and the bad according to what would be my position. I showed it. But whereas you just took it on face value and jumped out the window with it, right? So you describe Aaron L. Hawk as a fringe and a fraud and all this, but you know the genetic model and all this, right? Hilarious. So what are the scholars that say he a fringe? Give me 2.
David Reich. What's the other brother name? Diatanasio. That's a sister. That's
Okay.
a couple. That's a couple.
Oh no, that's enough. That's more than enough. That's more than enough. So my next question is, of course they disagree with what he believes, right? Correct?
They disagree because the data does not support his claims.
No, that's what I'm saying. So they disagree with his conclusion, but he said he studied graves, or rather the bones from Israelites in that area, whatever, however you want to term it, and he deemed it to be E1B1B. And from that, he made an assessment. Are you denying that he even tested those skeletons and extracted that DNA from that? Are you saying that that's false?
No, I'm not saying that they were not E1B1B.
Okay, so what you're saying is you just disagree, or you're piggybacking with the people who disagree with him saying that Israelite were niggas. I mean, having Negroes, right? So you're just piggybacking with them again, adding value to what I'm saying about dark Africa and how they purport that, and how a lot of our brothers and sisters take that on without even knowing it. Because this brother brought no information to rebut my presentation. He just said a lot of you just said a lot of DNA mumbo jumbo. So since you didn't address my information in the debate, I'm gonna make you address it right now, right? Mm-hmm. So when I speak of these self-attestations, right? I'm gonna take one. I'm gonna take Eldad Hadani, right? What did you present? And was the that debunked that and said that that was a myth and it didn't happen?
Easy. I just went straight. I went straight to the Parfait works where he explains that this was all imagined ancestries and there's no verifiable.
Again, to the Parfait. I'm not speaking of the Limba. I'm speaking of Eldad Hadani. But go ahead.
All right. So Eldad Hadith is brought up by Tudor Parfait as well, invoking these mythological treks, going into certain places, saying that you took over land and killed people, and the tribe of Dan and Gad was there. There's no verifiable archaeological, anthropological proof or genetic proof that any of those things happened. It is just a story. That's all it is. You can't verify it. You don't have archaeological evidence. You don't have anything concrete but abstract claims for somebody who lived 1,200 years ago. Guess what? They also believed in dragons. They also believed in dog-head people.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. I don't got much time to continue beating up on you. So, okay, so your answer to refute a self-attested to work that is been verified as credible by all scholarship, you're going to use Tudor Parfait, and you're not even sourcing it or cite it, or you didn't even do it during the debate. You're not even citing what he said, but yet you're just saying and you're just glossing over it with the term mythical. That's a horrible attempt at refutation. And I hope the judges tell you that in your judge, whether you win or lose. So let me ask you this: besides the self-attestations, you didn't provide any sources disputing that. You just gave a couple fancy terms and word salad describing it, as how much percentage of European you say you are?
I'm 18%.
Okay, so that was 17% of your DNA. That's just giving us that believe it because you said it stuff. Now let me ask you another one. Okay, we have the Arab travelers, the Arab scholars. Ibn Khaldun, when he speaks of lamb, I missed it because I was, doing I was writing on my flow chart, so I probably missed it. Repeat the source that you say to directly discredit that.
Tudor Parfait, I read his entire book.
Okay, Tudor Parfait was born in the 20th century.
It doesn't matter.
Ibn Khaldun was 12th century, my brother. How is he destroying that? Besides you've been, go ahead.
Because he brings up that a lot of these Arabic writings are blowing these stories out of proportion, saying that like the Balfour, for example, saying the Balfour had started.
Hold on, you're going too far. Okay, that's all. That's all we need on record. We don't need to believe. We don't need to hear why you believe it. We just need to hear that you believe it, and that's why you believe in it. That's all we need to know, my brother. Again, so what was your refutation on the maps that was made by the Frenchmen? What was your refutation on that?
During that time, there was a lot of
mythology. Did you show them it? Did you show that? Did you cite that some type of way?
I did.
Bring that to my memory. What was it?
Tudor Parfit's book on Africa.
Again, Tudor Parfit. Okay, again, Tudor Parfit on the map that was made in the 18th century.
Yeah, that's how historians work. They
So
study and analyze old documents. I'm sorry to break the news to you. That's what historians do.
Okay. So when he tells you that the people in Sinna, South Africa, right? It's a real town. When they have the same tribal names that he mentioned in his book as the people from Sinna in Yemen, they possess the same tribal names. What do you chalk that up to? Mythology as well?
No, the Limba, which are not West African people, which have nothing to do with you, actually come from the Iranian Caucasus region because they share haplogroups J1 and J2 in T with the Jewish population today that you say are not real Jews.
Again, I just want the judges I just want to keep reiterating, this guy is just falling back on what somebody else said with not one lick shot of evidence. It's quite horrible, actually.
But Tudor Parfit demonstrated that in his works. He demonstrated that they share common male ancestry with modern Jewish population.
Again, bro, we already showed you have no idea what you're talking about with DNA. I actually showed when you ask AI about DNA, it's not going to be totally upfront. I already showed that. So we're not going to float back to DNA. I know that's your specialty, whether you're spinning around because you're dizzy and you land on it, or you just talking coherently and you try to land. We're not going to focus on DNA. DNA is not the end all be all. It's like it's like asbestos, bro. You think it's not what you think.
The only reason we know the Limba have a Jewish connection for real, and that's concrete, is through their DNA.
Okay. Again, we don't want to hear why you think it. I just want to know the source material that makes you refute these
who took these
evidence. So we have Al-Idrisi in the 10th century. He's saying the people in Lam are Israelites. Did you refute that?
I just brought up.
How did you refute it? You say Tudor Parfit one more time, but you're making yourself look bad, bro. You're making yourself look real bad. You thought I was going to entertain your DNA rhetoric that I just had to just show in 3 slides. You had no idea what you was talking about. So I guess you lost for words. So I'm gonna ask you again, real clearly and succinctly. Don't mention Tudor Parfit, okay? You just can't use him. I understand, 17% of your body won't say, believe him just because he said it. I'm saying Al-Idrisi in the 12th century, hundreds of years before Tudor Parfit, said the people in Lam were Israelites. Explain the source that you used to debunk that. I know you use the fancy term that the judges might bring back up and say, why didn't you bring that up? But I can't remember it because the word salad was crazy. But explain why. How did you debunk that?
Again, most people that study Arab writings during that time will tell you that they exaggerated. For example, the Balfour are supposedly Jews that started Saharan societies, according to them.
Okay, that's enough. Okay. What is your reason? Because my time about to run out. That's enough. What is your reason? What is your reason for a non-Arab, such as Marco Polo, stating the same thing about the Israelites in the Chadic area of Africa?
As I explained during the debate in the rebuttal round,
it's the mythic Tudor Parfit. Okay, all of it, everything the rebut I just said was in Tudor Parfit when I brought out Tudor Parfit in his book. You're not making sense, bro. On VM, you're not making no sense, bro.
Time. Hey, man, this is why I say, if I may say so myself, the chin check session is the best section in all of debating. Right here on Paradigm Shift TV and Worldview Wars Debate League, where you can find the franchise, aka Lucifer, the devil, aka Joshua, the scholastic bully. You can find Gideon, the high stepper of Yahshua, and other superstars in the Worldview Wars Debate League, right here, home of the Chin Check session. That being said, the clock is being reset. It is time to close this thing out. These brothers have put on a hell of a debate. Lucifer will be closing out first. Gideon will be closing out last. You have 3 minutes. Will you be sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
All right. Also, do y'all have time to open it up for the chat? If not, I understand if you got to get out of here. We did start an hour late. We can't limit it.
I'm good, me.
No fair game. You can do it.
All right, family. Listen, when you come up, question or comment for the debaters. They already debated each other. They're not about to debate y'all. Question or comment. Now, if you happen to be a Worldview Wars Debate League debater and you want the smoke, challenge the brothers and we'll see if we can set something up. If you happen to be a debater from another platform and you want the smoke, challenge them and they can go over there and beat you up. Don't matter to me. Time will start when you start talking, my brother.
All right, y'all. As you guys can see, my brother failed miserably to answer the question, are Israelites among the ancestors of African Americans? This man was talking about Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Eldad, the Danite. He never mentioned West Africa. And during the question answering, I got him to concede like 4 times. He mentioned that most of our ancestry does come from West Africa. So I'm like, what's the point? But anyway, formal debate closing statement. Are Israelites among the ancestors of African Americans? Again, I am the negative. And again, there was a failure of affirmative burden of proof across genetics, archaeology, and epigraphy. I kept trying to pull it out of my brother, and he couldn't give me anything solid. He kept going and running to the Limba and running to Ethiopia, but he could never show me anything in Niger, the Niger-Congo family, in Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Cameroon. He couldn't show me anything at all. We got no resolution to the answer. We never got a resolution to this debate. We entered this debate with a simple, rigorous objective to evaluate whether the assertion that ancient Israelites are among the biological ancestors of African Americans withstands empirical scrutiny. Now that both sides have presented their cases, the conclusion is undeniable. The affirmative model lacks support from genetics, archaeology, and the historical record. We had the unbroken genetic verdict as we seen that African American descent from Europeans, West Africans. He did not show Levantine or Caucasus related autosomal DNA at all time to the African Americans. He didn't even attempt to. Stratigraphic and archaeological continuity, as we showed in West Africa. There are occupation layers during the time of the Israelite period and during the time of the biblical periods. Chronological reality, again, first mentioning of Merneptah Stele of Israel, we see that. And during this time, again, West Africa was already established in the Sahel and the Niger Basin, cultivating indigenous crops, forging localized societies. They were not in Israel, right? The ancestors of African Americans were not in Israel. The core methodological. My opponent argument rests not on physical evidence. Y'all saw this throughout the duration of the debate. He never gave you physical evidence. It was a bunch of whataboutism. What about this person and his mythological tale? What about this, obscure abstract similarity that I'm trying to draw out of thin air, grasping at straws? We didn't see any real hard evidence, but on symbolic resonance and folk etymology. That's all we saw. While spiritual identification with the biblical exodus was a powerful mechanism of surviving during the antebellum slavery, conflating metaphorical kinship with biological descent. And in the Q&A, I made him clarify that he's talking about biological descent from Israelites, not spiritual or symbolic. So why is he using nothing but symbolic evidence? No real evidence, right? Metaphorical kinship with biological descent erases the real documented history of West Central African civilizations like Benin, Mali, and Ashanti.
That is time. Finish your thought.
Anyway, the conclusion is African Americans do not need to claim Near Eastern lineage to possess noble, glorious heritage. Our ancestors built advanced empires, mastered indigenous metallurgy, and survived brutal Middle Passage to shape the modern world. Their stories written in the soil of West Africa, in the DNA of their living descendants. VM.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Time will be reset at 3 minutes for our brother Gideon. That was the franchise, Lucifer, the devil. We will turn it over to our brother Gideon. Gideon, will you be sharing your screen?
Unfortunately, man, my computer died, and we know how that is. So I'm just gonna end it out, you know.
All right, your time will start when you start talking. It's on you.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man. Shout out to Most High in the name of Yahshua. Shout out to DMG for hosting everything. And like I said, man, my computer died. I kind of started feeling bad, brother, where I beat this dude up, man, because he did help me with my computer, you know, and help me like get it running. So when it died, it took me out that kill mode. And I said, man, wait, this dude, man, help me like get back on track. But that's neither here nor there with the debate, man. As the judges will see and the people heard, this dude been fishing all night, man, especially in his presentation round at the end. I mean, how much can a brother talk about DNA? I mean, damn, but it was adorable though. You know, I did show that it was adorable. I did mention E1B1A and not E1B1B being in North Africa, East Africa, and the Levant. But what I did say was that it is an ancestor of E1B1A, and the brother clearly didn't even know that. So that's on the record. Again, when we listen to him again and play it back, he just was fishing. He was speaking of we coming from North Africa and then we coming from Chad, you know, and it's mighty funny. My presentation was based specifically in those areas. I wouldn't say so much North Africa, but Chad. This brother literally said that his refutation to my information was that we don't find no Caucasoid DNA in the Israelite DNA. That's crazy, bro. I mean, you even have 17% of it in there, so I don't know how you see that. So the brother just was all over the place, really didn't know what he was talking about. We just glad he took the pacifier out of his mouth when he was discussing it, you know.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Again, he was stuck on DNA all night, and the biggest point he made was he didn't show any archaeology in West Africa. He talking about East Africa and South Africa. Again, my brother, you know, archaeology isn't the only field of evidence. I showed linguistic ties. I actually showed historical documents, self-attestation, and I showed migration patterns coming from the north and south. Source material that I took and made the conclusions to, whereas he just took only mostly genetic info and didn't even have his own original thought, but regurgitated a biased side, where I showed geneticists proving him, you know, totally wrong. So again, thank him for, I thank you, Lucifer, for showing up, you know, appreciate it.
That is time. And I apologize. I gave you probably 15 more seconds, but that is time. Ladies and gentlemen, we had ourselves a hell of a world title debate. Both of these brothers brought the energy, brought the passion, and they brought the information. Our brother Gideon had some technical difficulties, but he got past them. And I think he brought an edutaining information-filled debate. Our brother Lucifer, as always, did what the franchise does, and he brought some powerful information. Y'all showed up and showed out in terms of the attendance, and we appreciate that. We're going to put the link in the chat. Come up if you got a question or comment for the brothers. Again, they are not here to debate y'all. They just debated each other. We're going to bring maybe 3 to 5 of y'all up, and then we're going to get up out of here.
Hey man, while we wait for the people, I kind of felt bad because I thought I swayed the judges in JJ debate when I had him, speak on who he thought the beings were, and he said human. So I kind of thought that I introduced that into the conversation, but I come to find out from listening to Heru, he stated that earlier that he's talking about human beings. So I don't feel as bad now, but still, you know, uh, I got to be careful. Hopefully, I don't lose or win. Well, I would like to win the debate in the after round, but y'all know what I'm saying.
No doubt. Hey, this thing say your browser has blocked your screen. Click the screen icon in your address to allow access, then reload the page. What the heck? I don't know what is blocking. We got somebody here though. The Green Saharan. Who you got a question or comment for?
Hey, what's up? I have a question for Gideon. I have just three quick questions for Gideon.
Before you get to your question, let me respond to the brother Gideon. I don't know if that's the case or not, Gideon. It could have been, but I think I've talked to the judges about, letting people come up and letting that influence how they judge. My instructions to them is to let the debate speak for itself and not to allow what goes on once we open up the chat to affect how they judge the debate. Now, hopefully, they stand, sticking to that. And I think they all have integrity and are trying to do that. But, can I say with 100% certainty that that's the case? Of course not. But I do trust them. And I haven't seen anything to indicate otherwise. So I'm gonna say you good.
Yeah. So let me just say this real quick before we get to the brother. I totally agree with that. You know what I'm saying? But that's almost like in a courtroom. You know what I'm saying? When the prosecution say something that be down bad and they just make it look real bad in front of the jury, and the judge say strike that. A lot of times, it really don't be struck because they be in their head. So, y'all did have good judges. My brother Elder Yara, he was a judge, so I know he gonna be stand up with it. So, with that being said, if I lose tonight, I hope I don't lose it based on something I say in the after show. And I'm just joking with that, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll confer with the debaters. And, if y'all feel like we should get out of here once the debate over, we'll start doing that. I have no issue with that at all.
Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good with time and everything.
Gotcha. All right, my brother, go ahead with your question or your comment.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to say good debate, you guys. It's really good, fruitful discussion. But so yeah, to get in, I need some clarification. I wasn't for sure if I heard correctly. So did you say that E-M215 is ancestral to EV38?
I was saying, according to the slide I showed, E1B1B is an ancestor of E1B1A.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. If you were saying EM215 is ancestor to EV38. By the way, another question. Do you know what EP2 is?
No.
Okay. Do you know who descends from EP2?
No.
Okay. Maybe Jashu can answer that question for me. Jashu, because I'll ask you the same questions. But obviously not the first one. But when it comes to EM215 and EV38, do you know what EP2 is? What
EP2 is the parent clade of both of those clades. So E1B1A, E1B1B are brother clades. They both descend from EP2.
Okay. And can you call EP2 also E1B1?
Yes, you can.
Thought so. Okay, I was just getting some clarification on that. So when Elhen Erhike was saying E1B1, he was talking about EP2.
Right, in the broader sense, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that would be an interesting debate, you know, if we can prove we are Israel genetically. And I'm quite sure Jashub, you know, would be up to take that up. You know, that would be something he can you know, debate.
I can just tell you right now, they're Iranian Caucasus related people, not West African.
Right. I said that in the debate. Like, you think, you know, Israelite got to have white people in them, you know. But then that begs the question: you got white people in you, so you might be an Israelite, right?
Actually,
According to that statement.
I almost forgot.
White. See, you need to watch my race debate. This is why those words are antiquated, right? Because the quote unquote white people that I descend from are Irish people, not Israelites. The Irish.
Hey, what you got to understand, Jashub, like, I'm kind of being tongue in cheek right now because, you know, I'm just kind of trolling y'all because y'all just like, y'all, yeah, man, y'all geek squad out, man, with them used science books, man.
I have another question for Jashub. I almost forgot. Can you give me the age for EP2 and also give me the age for E1B1A and E1B1B? Like, how old are these lineages?
They formed around 40,000 BCE. V38, there's different ages. Some people say 30 or as close to E1B1. So some people put 38, 39,000 BCE, 28,000. I've seen that somewhere around that range for E1B1A, V38. It definitely went to West Africa 19,000 years ago. That's pretty much consensus.
And where did
So
EP2 form?
let me ask y'all brothers this, right? Because y'all have no idea. I mean, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So you have like scientists, you know, geologists, and basically every discipline of science that has what they would call creationists or Christians that have that belief, right? So when you mention things like 70,000 years and 80,000 years and all that stuff, you know, when you're professing your faith, that, I mean, if that's true, then that knocks the whole Bible discussion out, because the Bible doesn't state that, you know, the earth has been here that long. So why would you even entertain that, Joshua? If you want to take the scientific route, you should have took the scientific route and said the Bible is false based on the fact that, you know, it doesn't state the world is 70,000 years old.
Yeah, the Bible is the Bible. The narrative in Genesis, Jacob having 12 kids, mythical kids.
Nah, the kid is with me. I got the kid. Joshua is with me. Hit okay.
But
whatever button over there.
I'm trying to have the conversation with you. We're not debating no more, right? So I'm trying to answer it. You ain't let me answer in the Q&A. So just let me answer right now. So most of what's written in Genesis and Exodus is fictive. It's imagined. It's just a story. That's all it is. There's no evidence. There's no hard anything. So you're saying, oh, well, you're saying, yes, the Bible is. It's fictive. It's folklore. Especially the Torah.
All right, y'all. We got some more people on the panel. Let's go to Roberta.
Hey, thank you, bro, for watching, and thank you for the question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, wonderful. I just want to just say to both of the gentlemen, what wonderful orators you both are. I found this debate very interesting, a lot of information. Great job on both sides. I do appreciate you both bringing your best today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you watching it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For sure, for sure. We hope you subscribe.
I already did, sir. DMG, great job.
Appreciate you. Listen, hey, I don't know who this other person is, but I don't think they're supposed to be up here. It says something like Honey Clark. Nah, go ahead, honey. Who you got a question or comment for?
Easy, easy, honey. No, I just want to say good job. That you kind of skated through this though, and I think it's because Gideon, you were kind of going against like mainstream science, but you didn't have anything. Like you gotta try to find something to back it up besides your own like just putting pieces together. But I still think that you debated well. You did a good job, but I think Joshua kind of got you in this one. That's just my personal opinion. But good job,
Right,
both of you guys.
right.
That's all.
I appreciate you watching as well. Can I respond now, or do you want to do it another way?
Yeah, go ahead, boo.
Oh, yeah. So with that, like I said, I like to make the analogy of like feces. I can smell it and look at it and know that it's feces. I don't need to eat it, ingest it, see if it have peanuts in the center or corn. Like I don't need to do all of that. That's what Yashub is doing, according to my position, because what I showed was from the just one slide that what he's saying, it smells like feces, because I showed that E1B1A descends from E1B1B according to the phylogenetic tree that I showed. So I don't need to continue to say, I don't need to do that, my sister. But that's a good question. But that's why I didn't expound on it. And also I had the affirmative. So it was mainly, I think it should have been more of a response to what I'm saying, since I'm making the claims. Although bringing out the DNA, it isn't like bad, but I showed how, where he coming from, and but I think it would have been more if you'd have addressed the information so we can clash like that, but good question.
Right. But I do have a question for you now that you said that. Because I remember somewhere in a debate, you said something about the white man's science, right? And then right now, you just told him that the Bible doesn't assert that the world is old. And the Bible itself doesn't put any kind of time on the world at all. So where did you get that the Bible is saying that the world is not old? Like, what science did you use for that?
Right. So I could be wrong, but I what I said was he's full of the white man science, being that he's 17% European. That's what I was saying. I don't think I made any aspersions to European academia, except when I was speaking of the dark Africa philosophy and concept.
Yeah, but what science are you using to say that the world isn't old according to the Bible? Like,
Well, I would have never brought that up in a debate, but that was just begs the
yeah, no.
question.
I mean, you just said it afterwards. I was just
Yeah,
wondering
when he
why you
says
said
things
that.
like 70,000, 80,000, like the Bible doesn't ascribe to those years. So, I couldn't I would have to deny that evidence. And good thing that it's false, or at least, misinterpreted, as I showed in the presentation, that it's misinterpreted. So that gives it some type of leeway, to where we can say, we can't look at that one field of science in spite of the historical, the archaeological, the linguistic, the eyewitness accounts, and the migration patterns that I showed. We can't let his interpretation of DNA alone usurp that, and not even to the point, he, like, again, he didn't even like show no sources to that. Like that was like to refute it. Like that was crazy to me. Like his reliance on DNA, like I said, is like our reliance on asbestos in the late 70s, only to wake up in 82 to realize that it's like killing everybody. So
Mm-mm.
he need to slow down. Like that's why I say it's adorable what he did. He memorized a lot of clades and EM2 derivations and all that, but you need to slow down, Charlie. And like I said, and like AI said, once I exposed her or him, because you can name them, even AI said, like, you can't make the claim that he made. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Hey, I'm gonna start calling Gideon the most charismatic Israelite because he got the quips, he got the phrases. He said it was adorable. What did he just say?
Yeah, he did. He said, I think it was adorable.
nah, it was. But I
Migration
mean, like,
patterns are tracked with like DNA. Okay.
Let's let Lucifer respond. Then we're gonna go to Silky D, and we're gonna get out of here.
So everybody, I would think my opponent would be taking notes while he's debating me, right? But everybody that watched my debate, I did not just use DNA. I use occupation layers. I use settlement patterns. I use pottery. I use material culture. I use crop cultivation. And even in the Q&A, I use language against you. So what are you talking about? I use various fields. It was multidisciplinary approach to prove that our ancestors were not no damn robot. In conjunction with DNA.
Silky D, the undeniable superstar. Talk to us. Shout out to my man Yerman Yahoo. We getting that brother on here real soon. He say he coming to take heads off. He will be entering the Worldview Wars Debate League, so I hope y'all ready. Talk to us, Silk.
Oh man, yeah, that debate was man, Gideon, man, you got me out here giving Joshua compliments now, bro. Like I gotta give this man a compliment. Oh, you know, in a debate, like the Afro-Asiatic language and that Niger connection, well, the non-connection that it is, that was a major in linguistics bomb right there for the the Hebrew language. And then you was bringing up the Niger Congo, and that, you know what I'm saying, that was a major one for Joshua, I would say, in a linguistics assault in a debate against the Hebrews. And then I could have swore for Gideon, what exactly did Meta tell you? Because I thought, like, I could have swore you was agreeing, but Meta did kind of like was telling you that it was the other way around, right?
no, it was saying E1B1B was found in Israel, and E1B1B is the ancestor of E1B1A. Now, he was harping on E1B1A as if it was solidified, and we all know that those different haplotypes happen from mutations, and they can happen in the span of 3 generations, or it could take as long as 3 centuries, but they happen. So all that is showing that is he's regurgitating a line that has that chain of thought, whereas I showed a geneticist that has an opposing thought, and he actually has data to state that. I showed the data and the evidence that he made his conclusion from, whereas, you know, Lucifer, he just said that they said this. Again, it's the believe because I said so. On TikTok, they say that's the Whitey explanation. But like I said, I'm not a racist, but that's what because that's how they, just because they say it, believe it. And that's what he was doing. Now, as far as the linguistic matter, I think I made one again, this was 15 minutes. And like I said, you go to my channel, but you can see several linguistic ties to not only Israel and Africa, but Israel and West Africa. I showed in this presentation right here, I spoke of the word Malak for king. That's in the Congo Basin area. That's the same word for king in Israel. Again, I didn't have time to show the different different ones. This is not the debate, but I can go over it with you. But I don't think he did anything by making me state that Hebrew was an Afro-Asiatic language and West Africa was Niger Congo language. You know, that didn't really prove nothing. Just like when he said, and I said this also in a debate, you know, I conceded. Yeah, I conceded. I conceded to have the debate because that's the title of the debate. Are the people descended, are the people that was enslaved, which are West Africans, descended from Israelites? So, I mean, I don't know why he thought that was a big point, but I mean, like I said, he was fishing all night. So he had to try to make it sound like he did something. But yeah, see, okay, that was a good question, bro. I appreciate you watching it. And yeah.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, man, yeah, good debate, fellas. Good stuff. Joshua, any sentiments on that linguistic bullet?
Oh man, that was a dagger because he's bringing up these linguistic ties and they speak a totally different language phylum. They got nothing to do with Afro-Asiatic, have nothing to do with Hebrew. They got nothing to do with Egyptian. They got nothing to do with any of the Afro-Asiatic branches or families, or descendants. Niger Congo is its own distinct phylum, spoken by and developed in the Sahara and disseminated in Western Africa. Nothing to do with that.
I actually have another question, one final question for Gideon. Can I see that phylogenetic tree? I kind of wanted to get another look at it.
Like I said, my computer.
Everybody hit the like, man. Share the debate. Good stuff, man. Already one love to the panel, man. I'ma holler at y'all. Good debate, fellas.
Hey, Eva, you know what I always hit them with, right? I hit them with this one, but I didn't get to do it in the debate. If the ancient Israelites, which were illiterate people, migrated to West Africa, while we don't have any literary works, no writings, no nothing, no Hebrew alphabet in the Congo somewhere where.
Hey man, hey Joshua, you really are the devil, bro. Like,
no, he's not, but that better help me out, but he just barked, but his bite ain't nothing, bro. The debate showed me that, but that bite. So Joshua, bro. So
I got 22 wins, 1 loss. I guess my bite ain't nothing. Go ahead.
Hey, like I said, bro. I mean, I'm not gonna say this a dub for me, bro. I'm just preparing myself, bro, because I really don't want to crash out, man. But you know, this is what I truly believe, so I'm still be passionate about it. But you know, I'm really like, you know, hey, it could go either way, but I ain't gonna set myself up like that.
Hey, if you lose, you gotta change your last name to Gideon Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa.
But I will say this to the brother that asked the question, if I could pull it up.
Yeah, I wanted to.
It's like I said, I'm on my phone right now, and my computer like it died on me. But you could definitely like look back at it at the debate, you know, and even if I was to grant you, like, let's just say for instance, I'm wrong on that phylogenetic tree. The caveats that I put in the debate safeguarded me from losing on that point alone. Cause, you know, here it is. He's a professed geneticist, you know, and I showed where he was wrong, and I showed where AI was wrong. So, you know, I made the point that we can't hinge all our marbles on that topic, which is why I delved off into other source material. And again, 15 minutes, you can only do so much in 15 minutes. But I think I thoroughly proved the point, and I hope, you know, you like. I'm still wondering why he didn't like just his address to my his refutations to what I put down is like it was like comical. He was talking about myths and all this, and you know, all this self projection and talking about I'm gonna talk about the Bible, but he brought up the Bible more than I did. Like he relying on faith more than I do. Like, so it was interesting, bro.
Yeah, it was a good debate. Yeah, I guess on the rerun, I can see the phylogenetic tree. Unless y'all got time and y'all want to look at it again right now.
There's no phylogenetic tree in the world that says E1B1A is a descendant of E1B1B.
Okay, but like I said, even if the phylogenetic tree that I provided is wrong, I provided enough caveats for me to make that error, and I provided enough information to support the caveat I put in place to show that it can't trump the information. It can really only support it. So even I don't think it's wrong, but hey, it could be. It depends on what the day is. It might change tomorrow. That's the one they made today. Again, the caveats that I put out. So I'm not going to live and die on that like you just did.
Well, we determine what's the parent clade from the daughter clade or the son, however you want to phrase it, right? By the mutations accumulated, right? So when we say EP2, that's the last mutation on that Y chromosome. Then when you get V38, that's the next mutation. The next mutation is the descendant, V38. That's how we determine. This is not just a bunch of people in suits really naming this. They're basing it off of the mutations on the chromosomes. The terminal SNP.
Right.
Specifically the SNPs and the STRs, which are short tandem repeats and single nucleotide polymorphisms within the actual chromosome itself and the actual.
And that's not word salad. Those words actually mean something and carry information. Like you kept saying, word salad.
You know why I say y'all is misinterpreting information? Because when I asked him directly in a cross-examination, so what do you say to people like Ibn Khaldun or, Ibn Hakal or Marco Polo, who, actually is making eyewitness statements, why, how, so what, they didn't see what EMC, what clade you said? They really didn't see that clade. They seen another clade. That's why I say y'all don't understand the info, bro.
But Gideon, this is why I bring up the Neiman lion all the time. There's an account about the Neiman lion that has impenetrable skin written down and said to be observed by men. That there's a lion out there that has impenetrable skin. Just because men write something and record something and say that they saw it or heard about it or whatever, does not automatically make that true. In your first round, you kept using the word claim. That's all it is a claim. None of that's verifiable. That was my response. This is called an Aristotle indictum. I'm applying that logic across the board. If you're saying that's true, then the Neiman lion also has impenetrable skin and actually exists.
Yeah, how many people wrote about it? It's the veracity of the claims that's being repeatedly seen. You're not going to see, dozens of scholars say the same thing about this line. So again, I'm glad I didn't hear you bring that up because I would have destroyed it in a debate, but it doesn't matter either way now. But
Lucifer, let me ask you this: Do you and before we get out of here, maybe the other brother can give his opinion. Do you feel like you underestimated Gideon, bro?
No, I properly estimated him. This is exactly what I thought I was going to get. I don't think I underestimated. I know Gideon. I knew he was going to come with a bunch of tall tales from 12th century, 11th century medieval Arabic traders, and so I knew what he was going to do.
Let me ask you, Gideon. Do you feel like the brother underestimated you somewhat?
Nah, but this nigga been my number one fan. I mean,
there you go.
Yeah, he been my number one fan. But when he was an Israelite before he read himself out the Bible on his DNA junk, I was actually one of the first people to actually do a presentation on his show on this very matter. So, before his head got swole with all his DNA stuff, he actually was an esteemed colleague of mine, bro.
Okay, so y'all had a history I ain't even realize. Okay, I got you. All right, so listen, man, the results will be in by Thursday. We will have the Fallout post show. The judges will give me their results by Wednesday. That way, if for whatever reason they can't make the live, I will have their results to read on my own. The intention is for them to come up and read the results themselves. Hopefully, both of you brothers will be there to hear it and respond to it. But one of you will be leaving Thursday's Fallout show as the new Worldview Wars Debate League World Champion. That being said, excellent debate. I appreciate both of you brothers. We are going to call it a night. Shout out to everybody who tuned in. Again, it was an excellent contest. We got through the technical difficulties. Shout out to Lucifer on his computer expertise, being able to help us manage that situation. And y'all know what it is, man. It's Paradigm Shift TV 314, home of Worldview Wars Debate League. Worldview Wars Debate League. We also have a small channel that we're trying to grow. We will be directing y'all towards that in some of these debates, so y'all can get over there and subscribe as well. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the panel. And y'all come on Black Thursday. Also on Wednesday, 7:15 p.m. Central Time. Step into the light with Light Brown. Y'all make sure y'all come and check the sister out. She always got some powerful topics. I believe this week is a face-to-face between the brother Easy Bands and our brother, the Eye Smiter, Jose Francis. Yes, a Worldview Wars Debate League debate will be happening on Step Into the Light with Light Brown. She will be hosting a face-to-face, and then those brothers will be getting in the ring. We are bringing as much debate content to you as we can. As I said, the winner of this debate will be the new Worldview Wars Debate League World Champion. They will be facing the winner of the last argument standing on the 16th of this month at Debate Mania. Y'all be here for all of it, man. We appreciate y'all. Till next time, we are out. That's peace.
I told y'all what to step into. I ain't disrespecting you, son.
You want it to be that way.
What?
You want it to be that way. What is the other way?
Funny how everybody loved the debate till the judges say they lost. Funny how everybody claimed they want smoke till the scorecards come across.
My name is my name.
Everybody gangster when the verdict go their way. Taking victory laps, posting on social media all day. But let them catch an L, now the judges all corrupt. Now the rules wasn't fair, now the platform messed up. When you won, it was justice. When you lost, it was rigged. When the spotlight was on you, man, you danced a little jig.
Funny how the narrative changes overnight. You a scholar on Monday, by Tuesday ready to fight.
Y'all don't want accountability, you want applause. Want championship treatment without championship flaws. See, debate ain't about feelings, it's about evidence, argument, and skill. Sometimes you climb the mountain,
Sometimes you fall down the hill. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
but it's the other way.
When you win, it's all love.
When you lose, it's another day. You want it to be one way,
But it's the other way.
the same judges you praised last month ain't fair today. You want it to be one way,
But it's the other way.
the facts don't bend for feelings, no matter you say my name, my name.
The hate got me laughing. It really tell the story. If the platform wasn't working, why they obsessed with my glory? Every week somebody got an opinion to proclaim, but they still tune in faithfully. That's free promotion of the name. Paradigm shift, TV 314 still standing, while critics in the comments keep demanding and demanding. See the infamous perspective, giving viewpoints room to breathe. The black church files digging deeper than was seen. The Kim and take over, bringing culture to the floor. The GT perspective, asking questions they ignore. Here you get many choices. Ladies' night, giving divas voices. Different minds, different paths, different truth. Reaching the elders and the youth. But it's the other way.
You said the platform needed you, but somehow you still stayed.
Yeah.
You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The show keeps moving forward even after people stray. You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The audience decides, not the stories that you made. My name is my name.
I've seen debaters come and go. Some legends, some pretenders. Some became champions, some became contenders. Some accepted losses and came back even stronger. Others spent 6 months complaining and being bitter even longer. Everybody wanna run a platform. Everybody got advice, but very few know the sacrifice, are willing to pay the price. Fight facts, challenge views, give the people real discussion. Not excuses when you lose. So whether they applaud or whether they complain, one thing remains forever.
My name is my name.
But it's the other way.